If you are stuck in a timeshare you no longer want, my friends at Lone Star Transfer can assist. Over the past 15 years, the family-owned company has helped more than 30,000 owners break free from their timeshares. They'll provide a guaranteed solution to exit your timeshare. So please call Lone Star Transfer 833-594-0079 or visit LoneStarTransfer.com. That is the Morning O'Reilly Update. More analysis later on.
From the Michael's Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
We know it's early. Mike's not totally awake yet either. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
It is finally here, Christmas week officially. So did you get your shopping done yet? I got to tell you, for a lot of my life, I was one of those who waited till the very last minute, got to about the 23rd or 24th, went, oh crap, I should probably buy something. And then just gave everybody really disappointing presents because I never got around to it. I'm better than that now, but you got a few days left here. Hey, good morning. Happy Monday. Mike Ferguson here. A little bit later on, Congressman Onder going to bring us the update, especially after that big healthcare bill passed the House. Where do we go from here? We got a lot of ground to cover on that. One of the more fun discussions we had just in the recent days, if you remember the Reagan movie from last year, that was such a good movie that wasn't made on a massive budget, but it was really well done, telling the story of, frankly, my favorite president of my lifetime. And the producer of that was Mark Joseph. And here's what I didn't know, is that it took 19 years to make that movie. 19 years to get the story of Ronald Reagan made into a biopic movie. And he's actually got a new book out detailing that effort to bring this movie to the screen in a way that does justice to President Reagan. And he joined us on the program just a few days ago to tell us about that journey. And here's what he had to say.
I'm going to admit my bias. I am a big Reagan fan. I know somebody's going to get mad at me for saying this, but the greatest president of my lifetime, I think, was Ronald Reagan. And I have so many books about Reagan. I've read so much. Of course, I'm a child of the 80s as well. But I did not know the story behind the effort to tell the story. The film's producer is Mark Joseph, and he joins us right now. Mark, thanks so much for being on the program. First of all, congratulations on the movie. There was a lot of success that frankly defied a lot of people's expectations, but it sounds like you had obstacle after obstacle after obstacle. How much of it was opposition? How much of it was just people dismissing the idea?
Well, hey, great to be with you. You know, it was a lot of everything. It was also just the fact that I just didn't want to make it in a way that would give up control of the story. And that was probably part of the problem in Hollywood, because usually a studio will finance it and then take control of it. And trust me, you would not want to watch that movie that came out of that process, because it's just ends up rooting the story. And also, I just wanted to be able to make it without any constrictions. You know, we never had the Reagan Library or anybody telling us how to make it. We wanted to make it. I wanted you, the listeners, the viewers, to know that we were telling the story without anybody looking over our shoulder and telling us what to do. And so I really appreciate that you liked it.
Oh, I really did. And I believe me, I've done a lot of reading on Reagan. And I thought that Dennis Quaid captured the mannerisms and captured a lot of what happened really well. And I thought that it was interesting telling it from the perspectives that you told it as well. So let me get into that aspect of it. You actually started, I'm looking at the Newsmax article that was written by Michael Reagan, and looks like you started this production basically not knowing whether you were going to be able to finish it. That is a massive risk to take. Any president could probably be featured in a movie. You could probably write something about him. Reagan just had so many critical, world-changing, historic involvement that it's amazing that there hasn't been a rush to make more films about him.
It's weird, isn't it? Yeah, people get so caught up in the politics. And I just told our team from the beginning, this is not necessarily a political story. It's a story about a man. It's a great American story, overcoming the odds. And, you know, at one point, my director was going to be John Avildsen, who directed Rocky. And John, he passed away, unfortunately, but John used to tell me, he goes, Mark, don't forget that Rocky is not about boxing. Yep. But Rocky, it just happened to be his job. Boxing happened to be his job. And it's really the story of a man. And that's what the Reagan movie is. Sure, there's some politics in it just because that was his job. But it's really about a guy. It's the classic American story. I mean, he doesn't reach his destiny until 69 years old. And a lot of his life is not, I would say, failures, but like a lack of great success. Like, he's not a great actor. He's not a great broadcaster. But all that stuff was preparation for what he was supposed to do in coming up against the evil empire.
So the film, I did not know this, Mark, is that it took 15 years from start to finish. Most people would put it on the shelf, give up on it, move on to something that you can get in the theaters faster. So why did it take that long? And what made you say, we're going to do this no matter what?
Yeah, it was actually 19 years, believe it or not. The whole thing started, I begin the book making Reagan when I'm driving. I was driving in the Midwest with my family. I live in California, and I was going to a cousin's wedding. And so we're driving down the highway, minding our own business in a minivan with 4 kids and my wife. And all of a sudden I'm pulled over speeding. And I'm in a speed trap and I'm 20 miles over the speed limit. So the cop goes, listen, you got to come back in person and go before the judge. And so I'm thinking that last Seinfeld episode, where the guys go to jail. But anyway, I look at the ticket and it says you must appear in court in Dixon, Illinois, Ronald Reagan's hometown. I didn't realize I was driving through Ronald Reagan's hometown. And so I have to spend the night in Dixon, Illinois to do the speeding ticket. And that's where I think the idea started. I walked around, I saw where he was a lifeguard, and I just thought, this is a great story. And I'm going to go back and tell it. And that's how it all started. But, we had so many delays over the years. I can't even tell you how many. It was, things like, obviously, COVID was a huge cause, the actors' strike, even the war in Ukraine. Believe it or not, we had a lot of people working on the film, who were going to work on the film, I should say, on special effects, who were either Russian or Ukrainian. We had to stop all that. So it was just financial delays, so many delays over the years. And I can't say the studios were rushing to help us make it. But, the way I make movies is I make the movie and then we partner. So we partner with Universal and Lionsgate to get the movie out there. And that's how it came out last year.
Okay, so there's probably a whole other discussion on the irony of having Russian people on a production crew about Reagan in a movie, but the book is called the book is called Making Reagan, a memoir from the producer of the Reagan movie, and it was obviously written by Mark Joseph, who we're talking to right now. So after the movie is out, and it does really well, it was number one. At one point the number one in DVD sales after that, for good reason. It's just a really well done movie. At what point you say, I'm not done telling the story, I'm going to tell the story about telling the story? Where'd the book idea come from?
Yeah, I would have people along the way who knew what was going on tell me, the movie sounds great, but the way this process sounds crazy and interesting. And so I thought, I should probably write about it. And that's how the book came about. But part of the book is more, is also, there's really 3 parts to it. One is the kind of making of the movie itself, but the other is just meeting all the people that Reagan knew. I spent all those years meeting with about 50, 55 of his friends and aides and really collecting all their stories, and just got some doozies along the way. Part of making a movie about someone like Reagan is you can't make a movie about a perfect person. They have to be like the rest of us, or else it's not a real story. And so I know people would say, "Oh, he was so great. He was so great." And I said, "Come on, give me some real life, And I asked one of his aides, like, "What would he ever get upset?" And he says, "Yeah, if we overscheduled him." He came in one day, he said, and he threw his glasses across the table and said, "Guys, I can't do all this in one day." And I thought, okay, great. Now we have a human being, like the rest of us. And so you want to find all those great things, those little nuggets along the way. But I can tell you one crazy thing about the movie. By the way, it's on, the DVD is out there and everything, but we got, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, where movies are rated, we are 98% for people that saw the movie, and critics are 18%. And that 80-point gap is the greatest gap in the history of Hollywood movies. And so we're asking Guinness to certify us for that record, 80-point gap between critics and moviegoers.
Producer Jerome speaking now with Mark Joseph. Thank you again for joining us this morning. So there were a lot of really brilliant moments within the film in terms of the story and the world building that went into it. But with nearly 2 decades worth of production going into it, and you also mentioned that you didn't have a lot of people looking over your shoulder trying to control the narrative. What was the decision making like when it came to what to include and maybe what to omit or glance over a little bit?
Yeah, really, really tough and a great question. I mean, I probably have 4 hours of a movie, and we're getting some of the fans saying they want us to re-release it in the theaters next summer with more footage, and we're thinking about it. But it's a tough thing. I'll tell you, the opening is, the story is told to the KGB agent that we made up. But I wish I could take credit for that. But I had a dream one night, and I dreamed the entire first 10 minutes of the movie, and I woke up. And I thought to myself, if I don't wake myself up, I'll never remember this in the morning. So I got myself and woke up and wrote the whole thing down for our writer. But that's what John Voight's character was, the KGB agent. But yeah, it was really tough. We probably shot more of the childhood, but there was just only so much we could cover in the movie. So we're thinking about making a kind of another version that has a little bit more of the stuff we had to cut out of it last time.
Okay. Until I read the Newsmax article a little bit ago, I did not realize that at one point Nicolas Cage was going to portray President Reagan. Now, I'm really happy that Dennis Quaid ended up doing it. I thought he did a remarkable job. And at one point I mentioned to my wife, I said, I can't believe how much he's actually embodied and looks like him. But Nicolas Cage was interested at one point as well. You ended up on the right guy for sure. It's funny how those things work out, but how did that happen?
Yeah, Nick was interested. We had a couple of meetings about it. And, for about a year or so, we were talking. I was sending him, DVDs of Reagan back then, of course, DVDs. And it just didn't work out. But, it would have taken a lot of hair and makeup for Nick to pull it off. But, Nick is a great actor, so he could have done it. But, Dennis was really a natural. There wasn't a lot of hair and makeup necessary. He already kind of looks like Reagan. The thing is, Dennis has that smile. He has that Reagan-esque smile that really didn't require no assembly required, I should say. So I'm so glad that he agreed to take it. But for a while, his schedule was really up in the air, and it was hard for him to commit. But I'm so glad it worked out. Okay,
so when you look at all of this, I mean, such a long time for this project, like we just talked about, and you see the response to it. What is it? Because now I'm kind of motivated. I'm going to go look it up on streaming if it's there and watch it again.
Yes, but at iTunes and all those good places. Okay, Amazon Prime.
What is it you wanted all of us to take from it? I mean, I know what I took from the film, but what was it that you were hoping everybody would take from it, and then by extension from the book?
Yeah, I think you and I are 80s kids, and Reagan loomed very large over us. He wasn't just a president. He was like a pop culture figure for a lot of us. And as Dennis Quaid says, he was our dad, whether sometimes you like your dad, sometimes you don't like your dad. And so he wasn't universally loved. But I think he just teaches, a lot of these great figures in American history teach us great lessons. And, Reagan taught us a lot of great lessons about life. And, for a lot of us, he was like our second dad. We had our own dad who was imperfect, and Reagan was far away. But, in the 80s, a lot of people let us down. It was a really tough time to be a kid, to televangelist. And, we just come off of Watergate. And so it was just nice to have somebody who didn't quite screw up like that. But I think the lessons for today, Reagan was a fierce and tough opponent and competitor, but he was also very gracious. And he would tell Tip O'Neill, his Democratic opponent, is it 6 p.m. yet? And O'Neill would say, why does it matter? And Reagan would say, well, if it's 6 p.m., we're friends again. Yeah. So we argue and fight until 6 p.m., and then we're friends again. And I think we have to regain that as a country. We have to remember that. I think a lot about how we have a lot of foreign enemies that want to destroy us. And if they can get us to destroy each other, we'll do their work for them. And we have to be careful about that, because there are people in North Korea and China and Iran and other places that are our enemies, and we're not each other's enemies. And we can't destroy each other, or they'll march in and take over.
Yeah, as a side note, Tip O'Neill wrote a book, his autobiography called All Politics is Local, and he actually recounted those conversations 30 years ago in that book as well. I remember reading that. All right, Mark Joseph, the book is called Making Reagan, a memoir from the producer of the Reagan movie. The book's out now already, right?
It is. It's out there. I would love for you guys to pick it up for Christmas. There's a great special. You can get the DVD and the book together at Amazon for a great price. So I hope you enjoy it.
All right, that conversation and pretty much every other one that we have here on the show is on the News Talk STL podcast as well. If you know a Reagan fan or just somebody who's really into the conservative movement, find that interview with Mark Joseph on the Mike Ferguson in the Morning page on the podcast and just send that to them. They'll probably really enjoy that. All right, we got a lot of ground to cover today. 314-912-1019. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
All the information I need on the drive to work.
Mike Ferguson in the morning. I keep it on throughout the day, whether it's local, national, or something big that's happening overseas.
News, analysis, and opinion.
St. Louis's #1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
Hey, folks, the Clayton Sleep Institute and my friend Dr. Ojal back supporting free common sense conservative radio. ClaytonSleep.com. Treating the full range of adult and pediatric sleep disorders from sleep apnea to insomnia, restless leg syndrome, periodic limb movement, and narcolepsy. What an awesome place. New comfy setting for the sleep lab. ClaytonSleep.com, 314-645-5855. Better sleep, better life.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. These pills work for men and women to improve their sexual performance. And now for the price of 2 or 3 pills, you can get nearly 100. There's no need to pay expensive prices for Viagra or Cialis. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Change your life for the better and have fun. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. 800-631-2030. That's 800-631-2030.
Do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Are you being audited or investigated? Has the IRS sent you a letter demanding payment? You may not owe what they claim. Make this free call to the tax doctor now. Let them negotiate with the IRS on your behalf.
800-240-4586. 800-240-4586. That's 800-240-4586.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, lots and lots and lots of redactions and blank pages.
Somebody did not realize that black makes a terrible highlighter color.
It's and that's a lot of, if you print that out, that's a lot of toner you're going to go through. That's what the Department of Justice, the Trump administration released, just a fraction of the files that they have acknowledged that they have. Now, the law that was passed, that made it very clear that you can't redact as much stuff. Now, that's an awful lot of national security interest. So I'm using air quotes here because I think it's an absolute garbage thing. So the bottom line here is that just like the Biden administration before this, right now, the Trump administration, and there are things it gets right. Don't get me wrong. Things I disagree with. It's part of the cover up now.
Yes. I mean, absolutely. So 500 pages are, and these are not photos because we already knew that anything related to the victim's identity was going to be redacted. I don't think anybody,
and that was allowed for.
Yeah. And I don't think nobody should have an issue with that.
No.
But when we're talking the actual, for example, the court transcripts, which were specifically said you cannot redact these, 500 pages completely redacted. We were supposed to get somewhere between 200 and 300 gigabytes of information. We got about 2.5 gigabytes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. There is no excuse for this. There's absolutely no excuse.
Todd Blanche was asked about this on Meet the Press. Here's part of what he had to say.
We're going through a very methodical process with hundreds of lawyers looking at every single document and making sure that victims' names and any of the information from victims is protected and redacted.
Okay. Again, nobody had an issue with that. The law that was passed, very bipartisan fashion, signed by President Trump. Even he said, okay, release him. The Department of Justice is not complying with this law.
Yeah.
That's the end of the story. They are, I mean, it's not the end of the story, but that is the bottom line. They are not complying with this law. So when you get hundreds, completely just a big black box. That's all it is. So there may or may not have been something. They just could have just blacked out, pieces of paper, or files and sent that. So the cover up continues on this, the cover up. And what happens is when people don't have the facts, when we know something's being covered up, all the internet trolls go in and confuse things and fill in the void with whatever goes through their head.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a shame because where else speculation is all that's really left. And then on the other hand is things, I mean, looking at the excuse of why didn't Biden's administration release it? That's not acceptable in this instance. I'm not accepting that anymore. There's no other way to look at this as if we know that there are a lot of Democrats on there, but there are a lot of people that we don't have the names on. There are people that might be implicated that have nothing to do with it. So why not help clear their names out? Why are you protecting, if this is all a Democrat hoax, why are you protecting Democrats right now?
It's I think, a bipartisan hoax now.
Yes, absolutely.
Is what we've got here. Or as Stell would call it, the uniparty.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes. The uniparty hoax. That's what we've got. All right. Okay. Just a little bit here. Did you catch any of that America Fest?
I did not.
I just got bits and pieces of different speeches. Then a few caught my eye, and I went and watched those as well. Interesting what's come out of that. I think they wanted this to be like a big, okay, Republican, you're fired up going into the next election year, which although TPUSA in theory said that they're not a partisan organization, they clearly are. But a lot of it came down to the battle of the influencers. And some of them saying, whoa, this is crazy. Big tent is fine, but you can't have everybody. Some people should not be here. Yeah. And other people are saying, no, just bring in everybody so we can win. And so I actually got a collection of some of those disagreements, and I'm curious what everybody thinks about that. So 314-912-1019, or shoot me a note on social media, anything like that. By the way, is the chat box up and running on Rumble? I'm looking at the stream, and usually there's a lot of stuff going on, but it's completely blank right now.
Yeah, some people must be slipping in.
I don't blame you. So I want to make sure that's not a Rumble thing here. But I'm curious whether you'd be more, Team Vivek and Team Ben, or God forbid, Team Tucker. Hopefully nobody is still Team Tucker anymore.
Sounds like both the losing sides.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Gingham's Homestyle Restaurant, DiGregorio's Food Products, RealtyNet Service Realtors, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
Is diabetes keeping you from enjoying life's special moments? At US Med, we understand the challenges you face, and we're here to help.
With US Med, I can finally manage my diabetes without it managing me.
US Med offers a wide range of services to simplify your diabetes care. Personalized care plans, convenient access to cutting-edge diabetes tech, and knowledgeable support. Plus, we'll check your insurance so your diabetes care may be covered at little or no cost to you.
With US Med, I feel confident and control of my diabetes. I can finally live my life to the fullest.
Don't let diabetes hold you back. Choose US Med and experience better birthdays, better adventures, better anniversaries, and better everything. Call now. US Med. Better service, better care. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. 800-515-2380. That's 800-515-2380.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
The Vic Borselli Show.
It is an honor and a privilege to have U.S. Senator Eric Schmidt.
Hey, I have to tell you, I don't know if I've ever told you this. In the 90s, when would this have been? Mid-90s. Yeah. And I was like, I worked at Grant's Farm, and I had a couple other jobs. In the afternoon, I would often hear and listen to Borselli's Deli on the radio.
Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Thank you for making me feel older than I already feel. That's just great.
Vic Borselli, live and local, weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Yes, may be on the verge of seizing a third oil tanker in international waters in the Caribbean. The Coast Guard currently pursuing the tanker loaded with sanctioned Venezuelan crude. Over the weekend, a Chinese-owned tanker flying the Panamanian flag was seized, and the lion's share of Venezuelan oil is exported to China. Car bomb has claimed the life of a Russian general in Moscow. There is speculation it was a Ukrainian intelligence operation, the third assassination of a senior Russian military officer in just over a year. The Justice Department is defending its handling of the release of the Jeffrey Epstein file.
The DOJ was required to release all the files by last Friday, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defends the decision to release just a fraction of them. He told NBC's Meet the Press that his department was obligated to act with caution and eventually will release all of the thousands of documents. But Democrats and other critics are not satisfied, accusing the Trump administration of trying to hide information. Greg Clugston, Washington.
You may have found it less painful to check on your retirement savings in the past 11 months or so.
The average 401k fell more than 15% under Biden after you adjust for inflation. So basically, savers just got absolutely crushed. A lot of that had to do with how dismal the bond market performance was. Under Trump, that has completely reversed, and almost all of those losses have actually been recouped now, which is really, really great news.
The Heritage Foundation's E.J. Antoni talking with the Salem Radio Network. Northern California, it's being swamped by torrential rains, and one person has died in flood-ravaged Redding, California. Southern California expected to be hit in a few days. On Wall Street, the Dow futures down 5 points, NASDAQ futures up 131. More on these stories, townhall.com.
So Pure Talk just had their best year ever and asked me if I'd like to thank their customers on their behalf for being so awesome. I said, sure. It's important to say thanks, especially this time of year, which is why, as one of their many satisfied customers, I should probably thank Pure Talk first for keeping their customer service in this country and for providing hundreds of American jobs. I appreciate that. I also appreciate their Roundup program, which makes it easy to support America's Warrior Partnership and join the fight against veteran suicide. And I love that Pure Talk donated 1,000 hand-sewn Made in America flags to veterans around Independence Day. And of course, I really appreciate their generous support of my own foundation, MicroWorks, and their commitment to help us train the next generation of skilled workers. Having said all that, it's now my pleasure, on behalf of everyone at Pure Talk, to thank you sincerely for choosing to do business with an American wireless company that actually stands for something. And one more thing. Merry Christmas.
Multiple gunmen opened fire at a South African pub.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at serenityltc.com.
People ask all the time, who the heck is Low Cost Airlines? Well, we're not just one airline. When you're talking to us, you're talking to everyone. We are the discount supermarket for all airline tickets. Plus, we have all the airlines and always have the best prices. American, Delta, United, plus all the specialized international airlines and a lot more. And we make it easy. We guarantee you'll talk to a live human in 60 seconds. You can have the rate you need and have your trip booked in 5 minutes. Now, how cool is that? And remember, when you're talking to us, it's like talking to every single airline available with one fast phone call. All you need to do is call and find the best prices to fly wherever it is you want to go. So are you ready? Call Low Cost Airlines right now. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
The news and talk
85-year-old Nancy Pelosi, she's finally calling it quits.
that matters to St. Louis.
The people who love Mom Donnie the most are not people who pay bills every day.
This is 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com. Mike Ferguson.
I say bah humbug.
Susie Moore.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas?
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Get up, St. Louis.
Gay Nutcracker and Black Disabled Santa has gone way too far.
Mike Ferguson in the Morning on News Talk STL.
Get up, this is your cousin Bob.
And there it is, finally a bah humbug for me.
Yes.
Very cool. All right, about those Epstein files. Maybe the big question is, where are the rest of them? Also, America Fest, that had a little bit of everything, including infighting kind of on the influencers on the right. But maybe is that needed right now? That's going to be an interesting question. I want to dig into that a little more at 6:20, and I grabbed together a clip of several of the speeches that weren't necessarily completely showing what the entire theme was, but some of the sound bites that were the most talked about. And so I've strung those together. Let's chat about that in just a little bit here. And the Redbirds trade away another big name off the team. It is 6:06. Let's go ahead and get started with a news dump here.
The morning news dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks, the morning news dump.
All right. As it stands right now, Sam Page will face his criminal trial. Yep. On Friday, a judge in Springfield denied the motion to dismiss the case. And Susie, I'm guessing this is one of those routine procedural, they got to at least ask for it kind of thing.
That's just by the book.
Yep. Page was indicted by a grand jury, as you know, after using taxpayer money to campaign against a ballot proposition. The trial is in Greene County in Southwest Missouri after a change of venue was approved, which was probably appropriate as well. I mean, you've got the highest ranking politician in the entire county, so it's not like everybody doesn't have an opinion on him. That trial is scheduled for March 23rd. Sam Page is not running for re-election, as St. Louis County Executive, which he announced moments after our show ended on Thursday. So he was even being a jerk to me on that.
It was all about you, Mike.
I know it is. All right. The Justice Department is defending its handling of the release, such as it is, of the Epstein files.
To release all the files by last Friday, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defends the decision to release just a fraction of them. He told NBC's Meet the Press that his department was obligated to act with caution and eventually will release all of the thousands of documents. But Democrats and other critics are not satisfied, accusing the Trump administration of trying to hide information. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, this isn't just that Democrats are saying this. There's a lot of people who are saying, listen, there was a law passed. This was the deadline. Department of Justice doesn't get to say, yeah, we'll get to it when we get to it.
Yeah. So there's competing issues here because the law does provide for redactions for certain protected information regarding victims, that sort of thing. It's spelled out in the statute. Right. And not only that, but in order to get the information released from the courts, as far as the grand jury information, those judges put stipulations on their orders saying what they could and couldn't produce. So there were additional constraints there, and they had a very narrow time window, and they're talking about a huge volume of documents. I can see an argument that you're going to err on the side of over-redacting to start with, and go back and pull that out as you can, rather than putting it all out there and having stuff out there that you're not supposed to have out there. But I mean, I think what it really boils down to is the law.
It was pretty clear about what they couldn't redact, though, in a lot of ways.
Yes. And if that's what they're redacting, then that is a big problem. Yeah. But I guess what I'm saying is the politicians didn't really touch base with the actual worker bees that have to do this and go through this and say, can you get it done in 30 days? You got to get it done in 30 days, because I think some of it has to do with just what is humanly possible. But I understand why there's questions. I think that they need to be, upfront about it. They are required under the law to kind of provide a log to Congress of anything that they are redacting. So it's not just like they're just going to say blank pages and no one gets to know anything about it.
Because there were hundreds of blacked out pages.
Over 500.
Yeah.
Right. I understand that. So, I mean, I think this is still an ongoing thing, basically.
Well, can I offer my own sort of questioning is because in the beginning, Pam Bondi said that they had all the files, that they wanted to release everything. And that was in the beginning of the year. So why would a 30-day crunch time to redact things, if they had any intention of originally releasing this stuff, be part of the issue here?
Well, I think that's a very good question for Pam Bondi. And I think that's one of the reasons why there are people who are rightly critical of her and of her leadership of the Justice Department. It seemed to me like she got way out over her skis and didn't know what the hell she was talking about.
Yep.
And overpromised and way underdelivered.
Yep.
So that's its own issue. I think it's when you talk about the sheer volume of information, it's quite clear she didn't even have the beginning of a clue of what all there might be. And so that's, I think it's right to be critical of that. Having worked on document production for many years in many ways, I understand the physical time constraint issues that you run into when you're talking about a huge volume of documents and having to go through and make sure stuff that isn't supposed to be produced isn't produced. So, I think, obviously they're rolling this stuff out. It's not like they're like, okay, that's it, we're done. They're saying, look, there's more coming. We're getting to it. But I think they're going to have to be willing to answer, or they're going to have to answer for it.
Yeah. And I'm also the skeptical guy in me is saying, oh yeah, they're going to drip it out during Christmas while everybody's tuning out the news. I think that's the skeptical guy in me after being in the business.
Well, the deadline was December 19th. So what are they supposed to do?
Right.
They can't control that.
Yeah. But they're saying we're going to continue to, release it over time. And I'm like, they're going to do it. I think when the least amount of eyeballs.
I disagree on that.
Yeah. I think they will. Yeah.
December 19th is 6 days before Christmas. What are they supposed to do?
Right. But are
they supposed to hold it back till after Christmas?
Well, that's the weird part. I mean, it's one of those things now where, they're not in compliance.
Correct.
With the law, period. And what has been put out is blacked out. I'm like, that's an awful lot of national security, and the victims are saying, fine, keep our names out. We'll go to the media and tell you who we are, which is fine.
That's not true of all the victims, though.
Not all of them. Yeah. But hundreds and hundreds of pages and saying, well, we'll get to some more, even though this was the deadline. There's no way they can expect to not be under the gun and not be under the scrutiny.
Absolutely agree on that. I'll absolutely agree on that. I'm just saying, if they're continuing to roll it out, they don't have any choice but to do it, part of it, over Christmas. That's just where we are in the year.
Yeah. All right. Let's see here. Trump administration announcing it's pausing the diversity immigrant visa program lottery, which they call DV1 in DC. And of course, this is following that shooting at Brown University and the murder of an MIT professor, Nuno Loureiro, who they believe is the shooter. Portuguese national Claudio Neves Valente entered the U.S. in 2017 through that program. So he came in legally through that program. Republican Congressman Michael McCall, he's out of Texas. He wants to see the administration go further. He was on One Nation with Brian Kilmeade on Fox.
This has been a failure. We need to do away with the lottery system, not put it on pause, and have an immigration system that, quite frankly, Brian, brings in the best and the brightest.
Yeah. The diversity visa program makes up about 50,000 green cards available every year, and about 20 million people apply for it.
Can we make a note about that? Valente was in the U.S. in 2000 on a student visa. That's when he went studied at Brown University. What we don't know is, did he leave and then come back in 2017, or was he here the whole time and just applied for it in 2017? Because I haven't seen anything that said that he left and came back. I think he was here the whole time.
Yeah, so that was my understanding, but I haven't seen a confirmation either.
Yeah, but the news reports are saying that he came into the country on the diversity lottery.
Right.
Well, no, he came into the country on a student visa 17 years prior. So what was he doing in the interim? That's important information to have.
Yeah, because he was in his early 30s, I think.
No, Valente?
Yeah.
No, he's 48.
Oh, 48. He was that old.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he was in his 20s when he came in as a student in 2000. And then in 2017, he would have been like 40.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of questions I have.
Yeah. All right. The family of Ferguson police officer Travis Brown thanking the St. Louis community. On Saturday, Ferguson police delivered the gifts for his daughters that were collected through the TJ Tree effort. We talked about that a couple weeks ago. Yeah.
We did.
Officer Brown continues to recover from a traumatic brain injury caused by a pro-Michael Brown protester during a violent protest earlier this year. Wilson Contreras is no longer a Cardinal.
No.
Yeah. He has been traded to the Red Sox for 3 right-handed pitchers, including one of Boston's top 25 prospects. I tell you, Wilson Contreras is another one that the front office under previous management mismanaged Wilson Contreras from the moment he got here.
Well, I think that seems to be like their thing these days.
Yes, 100%. So I respect that they're being aggressive. So I'm going to hold off on criticizing, because they're talking about trading Arenado now too. Yeah. And so I have to, I've been one of those who are saying you got to be aggressive and do something. They're being aggressive. So I don't want to go back on what I said, but Contreras has a lot of potential and many years left in the prime of his career. So let's hope 1 or 2 of these prospects works out.
Let's hope.
Get up, get up. This is your cousin God. Get up, what are you waiting for? Get up.
When we look at what we're gonna have to eat over the holidays here in the next few days, you just kind of accept, have fun, enjoy the comfort food. I am not saying don't do that, but when you get serious about making sure you're putting good things in your body, and you can do that over the holidays too, you go to my friends at Nutrition Stop. Matter of fact, they have a lot more than just clean, healthy food as far as groceries go, as far as nutrition supplements go, as far as vitamins and minerals go. How about the things you put on your body? How about things like deodorant that doesn't have all of the nasty chemicals in it? How about toothpaste that doesn't have the stuff in it that you don't want on there? How about skincare products that doesn't seep in? I mean, talking about things that aren't chemical laden. You can have good things to put inside your body, also good things to put on the outside of your body. And that's what Nutrition Stop does. And a lot of people don't realize that. Some of my friends, after I kept talking about them, went in, and one of my friends, he said, I had no idea they had like all of these non-toxic cleaning products. I didn't know that. He goes, my wife and I just stocked up on that, and we're really excited about that. And remember, when I was telling the story the other day about talking to Barbara there at Nutrition Stop, and she said, it's amazing to me that people will go out of their way to take better care of their car than we do our bodies. You know, our car, we want to make sure we've got the right fluids. We keep up with those oil changes. We keep up with that maintenance, but we will put any junk into our stomach and then into our systems. And it hurts our heart. It hurts our kidneys. It hurts our lungs. It hurts our brains. It hurts everything else. Listen, Nutrition Stop is exactly what has helped me get into really, really I would say the best shape of my life at this point at the age of 53. And they can do that for you as well. NutritionStop.com. I'm going to be there a little bit later today because I got to buy a few stocking stuffers for a couple people, and they have some really unique stuff. It's not just food and supplements and things like that. They've got all kinds of great stuff. So NutritionStop.com, they're just off Mexico Road in St. Peters. So think Cave Springs Road and I-70, just off that on Mexico Road, or just put Nutrition Stop into your maps. It'll take you right there. NutritionStop.com. You still got time to get some great stuff for your holiday meals and for a little bit of Christmas shopping. That's what I'm doing as soon as I leave the station here today.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head, Vic head, here.
Right. And you can win some great prizes with NewsTalkSTL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
What?
You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Oh!
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Havana 1961 Restaurant, Trolley Stop Bakery, and Whistle Pig Outdoors. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
NewsTalk STL is proud to have Doug Voss of Safe Money Radio as part of our lineup each week. Doug has been a staple on the St. Louis radio airwaves for many years as one of the leading financial experts in the area. You can now hear Doug and Safe Money Radio 2 times every weekend on NewsTalk STL. But in case you miss anything, you can check it all out at DougVossSafeMoneyRadio.com. You could also reach Doug at 844-676-SAFE. That's 844-676-7233.
Doug Voss is a registered representative. Securities offered through DHL Securities, LLLP, member FINRA and SIPC.
Ahoy, everybody! SpongeBob here. Christmas means presents and mistletoe, sharing and caring. So during this most festive season, please, don't be a jerk. Bring joy to the world, it's the thing to do. But the world does not revolve around you. Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas. There's a sign above the line that says express. That means 10 items or less. Don't be a jerk. It's Christmas.
Good morning, Missouri. It's your boy Joe Pags. I'll talk to you tonight at 10. But right now, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, because I'm not 100% Grinch. Now it's close enough to Christmas that it's appropriate to play Christmas music.
Oh, now it's okay.
It's fine.
Now we have your
Now
permission.
it's okay.
Well, too bad. We were doing it before.
Yeah, just don't.
Jerome was doing it before.
Just
don't throw me under the bus.
No, with my enthusiastic support.
She took me out back and said she was going to beat me if I didn't play.
Just don't overdo it. But I'm saying, like, you know, what about like my type of Christmas music? I mean, if I were doing it, maybe it'd be something like this.
Elsa, make my toys, they can never die. Work 'em to the bone, whip 'em if they cry. Don't you dare bounce, and you better watch out, since I'm coming to your town, 'cause I'm Santa Claus, North Pole dictator with elves for slave labor and AIDS, flying reindeer. I'm Santa Claus, sees you sleeping, sees you awake. Have you been a bad girl this year? Better be good, for goodness sake. Have you been a good boy this year? Spread season's greetings and slide down the chimneys and give all the gifts, 'cause I'm Santa Claus.
I'm just saying. I mean, you know, we all have different tastes.
little thrash metal merriment there. All right.
Oh, if that's the kind of stuff you like, you're in for a treat tomorrow.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. All right. Did you catch much of the America Fest?
A little. We were covering it
Yeah.
at Red State, so we covered some of the bigger speeches. So if, from that perspective, I did. I didn't sit and watch it.
Same.
I mean, weekend is a time for me, in theory, to unplug a little bit. So I really did try to do that.
I thought that a lot of people were looking at kind of the soap opera drama part of it.
Well,
but
how could they not?
Yeah, how could you not? But I'll be really honest. I think the people who are pointing at that, saying you got the influencer slap fight, it actually is raising some, I think, fair questions that the right should be looking at right now. And I don't think that's unfair. So I actually grabbed, because when I saw that there was something that people were really buzzing about on social media, I started grabbing some of the clips. So I'm not claiming that this is the full context of America Fest, but I'm saying is that these are the things that people reacted to and really kind of debated and had the spicy stuff. So I got several aspects of it. I'm just gonna play the collection here that I picked out. So here is a lot of what happened at America Fest.
If you believe in normalizing hatred towards any ethnic group, toward whites, towards blacks, towards Hispanics, towards Jews, towards Indians, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. Period. And I will not apologize for that. I will not hedge when I say it. If you believe, and you will forgive me for giving you an exact quote from our online commentator, Nick Fuentes, if you believe that Hitler was pretty cool, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement.
Women, you have been lied to for decades through propaganda. To be very, very clear, transgenderism, sexual liberation, and abortion have nothing to do with women's rights. Calling these movements feminism is not only inaccurate, but it's dangerous, it's destructive.
I just heard that Candace Owen has proof that the Venezuelan boats were blown up by the Zionist state of Israel. And it's true because Candace had a dream about it. All of Candace's dreams come true, especially the dream she had when she was a little girl about one day becoming the biggest grifter the internet has ever seen.
We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are.
I felt like it was divine right order. And I have to tell you, Jack, I've prayed so many times to Charlie and to God to give me the right guidance on how to handle this whole thing.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up, and he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian.
What you're watching now, attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims? It's disgusting. And I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not.
That this isn't the Republican Party anymore. It's the America First Party. It's the Make America Great Again Party. And we are not going back.
Yeah, so that was just there was a lot more out there. I'm not claiming that this was the full representation of it, but this is what people were reacting to that I saw a lot.
Pretty good sampling. There was a couple voices I couldn't quite pin down. Most of them.
Yeah, Vivek Ramaswamy, Riley Gaines.
Yes, got those.
Rob Schneider.
Rob Schneider wasn't sure about it.
Yeah, Rob Schneider. Let's see here. Then it was Erica Kirk, J.D. Vance, Ben Shapiro.
Was it Megan?
Oh, Megan Kelly was the one who was praying to Charlie.
Yeah. Okay.
She prays to Charlie. Oh, and God. But she prays to Charlie. Yeah. And then, Megyn Kelly, and then Ben Shapiro, and then Tucker Carlson, and then Donald Trump Jr.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
I didn't recognize Don Jr.'s voice.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's you can't escape the fact that there's a lot of infighting right now. And like they say, nature abhors a vacuum, and Charlie's death has had humongous ripple effects. Positive effects in some ways in terms of inspiring people to get involved, negative effects in the way that people are scrapping over his legacy.
Right.
And then that's being stoked and fomented by people who want to see the right at each other's throats, which is kind of interesting. I was thinking about that when you were with your interview with Mark Joseph that was replayed earlier, when he was talking about the fact that there's external forces that really want to see us all tearing each other apart.
But the question that I thought was interesting, and I thought Vivek Ramaswamy and Ben Shapiro made some really solid points, is at some point you say, not everybody. There are some of you all who are fringe and evil and not compatible with anything that is a conservative movement. We don't need or we don't want everybody.
I disagree. I mean,
so let me take the fringe. They're referring to the Nick Fuentes types, the Tucker Carlson types. But let's talk about the Nick Fuentes types, the candidate who Candace Owens, who's clearly mentally ill. The Nick Fuentes types is what was referenced many, many times. Why on earth would we want anything to do with that group or those people at all?
Because when you silence somebody and you try to dogpile on somebody and disenfranchise them, you're not proving them wrong. All you're doing is giving the people that already have reason to want to search that kind of content to then go and find what they're saying. Why would we want to censor somebody so hard if they have nothing of value worth saying, is what a lot of people that are falling into that trap are going towards. And with Tucker Carlson specifically, I mean, there was a lot of pressure on Charlie Kirk himself to deplatform him. There's a huge infight because he refused to. Charlie Kirk himself said, I'm not going to remove Tucker Carlson from this. He still has the right to say what he wants. That's what Charlie Kirk was all about. It's not about saying these are all the people we agree with and that this is what you must acknowledge to be part of us. It was about saying, look, here's what these people's ideas are at, and it's up to you to decide, or for us to debate it and to defeat the idea.
How much more proof do we need that Nick Fuentes and neo-Nazi apologists are wrong? Why should we even engage? At that point, I think they should be completely ignored, and they have no. I think Vivek Ramaswamy is right. There's no place in the conservative movement for them whatsoever.
So I think there's two different things going on there.
And by the way, we can pick this up after the next.
Yeah, we're not. I mean, one thing is censorship, another is choosing to associate or not associate yourself with somebody. And I think freedom of association is as important as freedom of speech. If you do not want to be associated with somebody and you do not want somebody to be seen as the voice of your movement, you have every right to say, I do not agree with that. I do not want to have, engage with that person because I disagree with them wholeheartedly.
Well, I'm not saying that they have to be included. I'm just saying that Charlie Kirk specifically did not want them disincluded, did not want them to be not invited or uninvited or barred from these events.
Well, he barred Nick Fuentes.
No, he did.
Well,
Nick Fuentes,
I'm not talking about Fuentes
yeah.
is so fringe and out there that it's really just a bunch of internet lurkers at this point that really take him seriously. I've listened to a lot of his stuff, and I can't understand why anybody even takes him seriously. Yeah. But Tucker Carlson right now is the main one. I mean, Candace Owens, same kind of thing. She's she's
nuts.
I don't think a lot of people take her seriously, but Tucker Carlson still has a very strong audience, and he still does a lot, and he's actually grown in his audience since being fired from Fox. And so that's kind of what I'm focusing more on. Is I'm not saying he has to be included. You have to include him if you don't want him there. But at the same time, Turning Point USA was made what it is by Charlie Kirk. Everybody there is trying to bank off of what Charlie Kirk would want. Charlie Kirk refused to remove Tucker Carlson from the event because there were things about Tucker Carlson that he saw were worthy of letting him at least speak at these events.
I agree.
And I don't like this idea that you have to necessarily reject certain ideas or certain people. If that's what the left was doing to us. You have to be pure enough as a leftist to be a proper Democrat. And if you're not that, then you are the far right, evil, bad people. Well, to me, a lot of this just sounds like we're doing the same thing now with our own side.
Definitely more to discuss.
Yeah, let's pick this up in just a little bit. I'm one of those who says, but then again, I'm not a populist. I think that there needs to be a return to principled conservative now that a lot of people are discovering that haven't. I think you have to draw a line somewhere. You got to draw it. I mean, and Tucker Carlson, I think he's just become a complete sellout and grifter, I think personally, but yeah, let's pick this up around 6:35 right here on 101.9 94.1 News Talk STL.
You may be listening to us now on the radio, but you've got other options. You can listen to us on the app. Download the News Talk STL app, and you can catch us anytime. You can catch our podcasts. You can catch up and figure out what you might have missed if you weren't able to listen to us. So be sure to download the app and include it on your phone, because your phone is like a radio.
Cause that's how you'd like them to treat you. Use turn signals, don't scream my calls. Don't you wreck the house when you deck the halls. Spin your gun where it won't wind up on my shoe.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
It's Christmas.
Whether at home or at work, you're mobile. So when you're mobile, stay mobile. Keep St. Louis's home for conservative talk with you wherever you go. Download the News Talk STL app in the App Store or at NewsTalkSTL.com. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shane Scott with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Located in the heart of St. Charles, Kevin's Guns is your family-owned destination for all things firearms. Whether you're a collector, hunter, or military enthusiast, we have it or can get it for you. From new to used rifles and handguns in every style and caliber, our friendly and knowledgeable staff is here to help educate you and ensure you make the perfect choice for your needs. Buy, sell, or browse our incredible selection at kevinsguns.net or call 636-493-1195. Kevin's Guns, where gun enthusiasts come home.
Jamie Allman here for O'Fallon Family Floors. Experience the passion. Oh, yeah. You can go in and see the best variety, the best pricing, the best quality, the best personalized service right there off of Highway K in O'Fallon, or you can have the store come to you. Oh, yeah. Brian and his team take great pride in running a fantastic flooring outlet, and you can get their 5-star ratings right there on Google. Just check it out. It's O'Fallon Family Floors, O'FallonFamilyFloors.com.
Are the days of a personal doctor gone? Not at Body of Health Direct Primary Care. I'm Dr. Randy Tobler to share how our design is putting the care back into healthcare. Plain and simple, our members, not insurance companies, get our exclusive focus. That means same or next day appointments, responsive answers to your concerns, and a no-spin, big tool chest approach. It's about time you get serious time devoted to your medical needs. To learn about healthcare the way it ought to be, schedule a discovery call today at bodyofhealth.com. That's bodyofhealth.com.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
Tonight's story behind the story, a teenager's journey to be a real cowboy.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL.
Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight. Merry Christmas, I don't want to fight tonight with you.
Hey everyone, this is State Senator Nick Schroer. I am the host of Stand and Fight every Sunday night. Right now, let's hear more of Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show here on News Talk STL.
Ramones?
Very good.
Okay. Yeah.
Good sound.
There
Good
it is.
sound.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we're going to pick a lot of discussion on this. Principled versus, anybody. Welcome anybody in here. And where do you draw the line if you're going to draw the line, somewhere? I think right now the conservative movement or the freedom movement is kind of at a crossroads. And I see some pretty dangerous toxicity getting in there. So what do you think? 314-912-1019. Let's pick that up here in just a moment. Of course, a huge amount of things going on as well. Not a big secret. Most media goes on vacation by the end of this week, but you can still keep up with what's happening. So Susie, where should we start this week on redstate.com if we want to keep up with what's happening?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Well, Mike, you nailed it. You should start at redstate.com because we are not taking a vacation because the news isn't taking a vacation. Right. So we're covering it all. Not least of which is Bob Hoag's piece this morning on the meltdown at CBS because 60 Minutes at the last minute yanked a piece that they were going to run last night about some of the Tren de Aragua members who were carted off to CCOT in El Salvador. Now, they did say they're going to run it at a later date, but this is a big meltdown. You're going to be seeing lots of coverage of that today. Check it out on Red
This
State.
was which network?
CBS.
CBS, okay.
Yep. We've also got a great piece up from Joe Cunningham, who is our Louisiana man. Trump just named Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry as a special envoy to Greenland in a surprise announcement on Sunday afternoon on True Social. So that's a little intriguing. What is that all about? Is he going to step down as governor? What are we going to find out about that? Go check out Joe's article there. And last but not least, in honor of the Christmas season, Rusty Weiss has a piece up about the baby Jesus. Slay it ain't so. Dem mayor's nativity takedown fails as South Carolina town keeps baby Jesus up. Go check that one out and find out how the town fought back and kept their baby Jesus.
There is always one of these every year. You would think that these political types would learn their lesson after a while.
You would think.
But they don't. Redstate.com there. Okay. So interesting. I mean, I'm looking at the, the clips and the speeches, at America Fest. And there was a lot kind of to go over, lot of dots, including what is Turning Point USA now as a mission and an organization. I think there are some questions that could change, its relationship with a lot of things because, when they were founded, it's like, this is advocating, conservatism, and conservative policy, culturally, conservative Judeo-Christian ethos, things like that. And we're having conversations. Now, Erica Kirk says, part of the mission is get this guy elected. Get Republicans elected in 2026. Her words were build the red wall, make sure Donald Trump, quote, has Congress for all 4 years, and get J.D. Vance elected. So in practice, it is a Republican operative political action committee at this point. Is that something that could threaten its ability to put chapters in high schools and colleges all over the country?
It might.
Yeah.
It might. Now, I think that there is a pretty strong argument to be made that in order to advance the America First agenda, which is something that TPUSA has been a big proponent of, you need a functioning executive and Congress. And if they are opposing each other and fighting each other, none of those agenda items are going to get passed. So I could see from a larger perspective that right now we need to advocate for, that to continue on in the midterms. But yeah, once they start talking about specific election outcomes, specific candidates, I think it does cross that line. And I don't know what that means down the road in terms of its status, in terms of its ability to, as you said, add chapters, that sort of thing. I think that could become problematic.
Yeah. And it's going to be interesting to see if this, and here's the thing is now, if you start seeing some high schools and some colleges that are saying, whoa, we're not doing partisan stuff here, and they probably have, left-wing groups, student groups on the thing. And they go, well, no, now that you're advocating for this candidate officially, now we're going to deny, or we're going to design, and you're going to see, I think, the outrage and gnashing of teeth, but they might have put themselves in that position. Now, maybe there's a much bigger picture that they think they can have a bigger effect. And okay, that's up to them to decide, but there probably is going to be a cost for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. JD Vance is not as popular with the youth as I think that they would like him to be. So, and then the Turning Point USA, the way Charlie built it up was going to the youth and touching their hearts and getting them to think more critically about things. I think that if that's their end goal, then they probably announced it a little bit too early, because that's going to lead to a lot of people being more skeptical about joining the groups now if they're not on board with the JD Vance train.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very fair point. And I think it's probably a very confusing time. And I think it's probably pretty hard, particularly for Erica Kirk, to get her feet under her and know exactly where to go with this, because, this was thrust upon her. And there's no easy answers. And in the middle of her trying to navigate it, then you've got everybody clawing at trying to get their own little clout piece of the pie. And it's kind of an ugly look. And as somebody who's been part of the conservative movement for, coming up on 20 years, and who knows so many of these people from when things all started out, it's very it's upsetting and disturbing to watch this happen.
Yeah. And the other part of this was many of the pundits, the commentators taking shots at each other at TPUSA. Now, I thought that some of them pointed out, hey, robust debate is what this was all about.
Yeah.
But you don't want to be so open-minded that your brains fall out and that your morals fall out.
Right. Well, and I think what's happening is a confusion, a conflation of principles and personality, because and there's also tension in the principles, because like we were talking about, freedom of association, freedom of speech, not wanting to deplatform and censor people unnecessarily, but at the same time, drawing boundaries for what you stand for and don't stand for and what you want to be associated and don't want to be associated with. Those are complicated and tense, they're at odds in some ways. But then on top of that, there's the tendency to gravitate towards a person and kind of follow their lead on everything instead of the underlying principle. And unfortunately, because of social media and the way it operates, that fosters that sort of building up of the cult of personality and not the focus on the principle.
No, absolutely. And it is a very tough line to, I think, draw. Now, with somebody like Nick Fuentes, for example, he never got along with Charlie Kirk. He was never on board. He was always doing his own thing.
Yep. I'm sorry. Who was that again?
Nick Fuentes.
Yep.
So with somebody like him, I don't think that there's any need or reason to have him included in the discussion of what conservatism is, because he's his own separate entity with his own separate
there's
groups.
nothing conservative about what he stands for or spews. Nothing.
And people that take him very seriously, I kind of question why. Not just for his rhetoric, but just for, if you watch enough of him, you get the impression that he's clearly trolling. He's clearly just being provocative. He's not anybody that really has an end goal for anything besides just being the most provocative person in the room. But when it comes to people that have already historically been involved in the movement, even if they've maybe taken a turn that we don't like, if their ideas are really all that bad, then having them and being able to have a discussion with them, not calling for them to be removed and to everybody to say, hey, we're all going to turn our backs on you, but to be able to say, look, I know my ideas are better than yours, so therefore I'm going to prove it by having this discussion on stage, and then let the people in the audience make up their mind. I think that is really a lot more of what people were, my age at least, were turning towards Charlie Kirk and Turning Points USA for, because people are not so, the average person that is interested in political discourse I don't think is so stupid that they are unable to say, well, I agreed with them, and then you said this, and now I agree with you, and then they said, and you're not going back and forth like that. Usually,
I think there are a lot of people.
There are a lot.
There are some who
there are a lot of people that do that, but I'm talking from being involved. Like, I've gone to a few young Republican groups. I've gone to a lot of the groups, a lot of the different rallies and stuff around this area, and there are a diverse amount of thought going on. But at the same time, it doesn't appear to be that platforming Tucker is going to suddenly have everybody saying, yes, I agree with both Tucker and Ben Shapiro on everything. And it's like, well, I don't agree with either one of them on a lot of things.
I think they were right to call out Tucker Carlson's basically big, wet, sloppy kiss to a neo-Nazi, which is really what, and of course now, he's also, you look at his support from Qatar, you look at, the stuff with Russia. So I think at some point, I think you do say, okay, you're going the wrong direction.
I think that's key, Mike, because what we're seeing from Tucker Carlson in 2025 is not what we saw from him even a couple years ago.
So true.
So I think part of it is there are people that want to stand up for the person that they initially were friends with and knew and believed in, as far as, his values and principles, and they're not, maybe haven't come to terms with the fact that he's not preaching that now.
Yeah.
So it's a different calculation.
We used to play clips from Tucker Carlson on this show.
Sure.
And I don't know what has gone wrong with him over the last couple of years. He has gone
demons.
Yeah, he has gone off the deep end, and a lot of dollars from Russia and Qatar, I think.
Those are demons.
Yeah.
Now, counterpoint though, if you never get exposed to that sort of rhetoric, how do you know when to listen for it or how to defeat it?
Which rhetoric?
Like the rhetoric from Tucker Carlson you don't like, or the rhetoric from somebody like Nick Fuentes. So if I am not privy to what these people believe or what they're saying, but I'm being told by everybody, just avoid them, don't listen to them, they're bad, and then somebody else is using the same dog whistles as the people, how am I going to ever have a way of understanding how to defeat that rhetoric?
Because Tucker Carlson had the ability to call all of that out, and he promoted it, the platform, put his arm around the guy. He embraced an actual neo-Nazi sympathizer. That crap stain and that smell should be on you. At some point, there should be things that are absolutely so cut and dry. We start with the assumption this is evil, But to say we're going to bring Fuentes and his ilk in, and so we can debate. No. They're not worthy of being part of the discussion. We just explain why they are evil, and we distance ourselves. They have no value whatsoever in ideas, or frankly, as people in their current state.
See, I think putting it on display is the best way of actually defeating it, though, because like, again, what you're saying is push into the dark corners. Well, if I already don't fully agree with everybody here, and I'm susceptible to certain radical ideologies, and I find this guy, well, why would I not then go to that corner? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but I think the issue here is that Tucker didn't do that.
Right.
Tucker didn't debate him. Tucker didn't bring him on to poke holes in his rhetoric. He brought him on and basically elevated him.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, the issue there.
That's totally it. He just, it was gross and evil. And I think we need to be able to call things that are gross and evil.
I think that's fair. I think it's also fair to tell you that this is your last call to register to win in our News Talk STL stocking stuffer giveaway. It's running out of time. You're running out of time. So you go to newstalkstl.com and sign up for it. If you do, you will be eligible for lots of prizes, including various gift cards from Newstetter's Fine Jewelers, Havana 1961 Restaurant, Charlie Stop Bakery, Whistle Pig Outdoors, Gulf Shores Restaurants and Grill, and Small Cakes Cupcakery. Go register now. And if you win the grand prize, it's a $500 gift certificate from Newstetter's Jewelry. Stocking stuffer giveaway. Sign up.
Kathy Connor from Connor Roofing is here. Kathy, how you doing?
Good. Hi, Vic.
You know, when you need a roof, I don't want to call a stranger. I want to call you.
Yeah, thanks. At Connor Roofing, we're more than just a roofing company.
How long have you been doing it?
Since 1993.
And year after year, storm after storm, you guys are always there.
Because this is our home too, Vic. Our kids go to school with your kids. We cheer for the same teams. Go Blues!
So support your neighbors. Call Connor Roofing at 314-375-7475 or CONNER roofing.com.
Thanks, Vic.
Yo, this is Vic. Vic for Vets is proudly honoring our veterans. Every Wednesday at 11:05, you'll hear about that day's honoree and their incredible service to our country.
Hi, it's Ken. You want to nominate a veteran? Send their name, service information, and story to me, Ken, at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Brought to you by Alamo Military Collectibles, Monocle's Pizza, and Gemini Wealth Group.
Together, let's celebrate the heroes in our community, Vic for Vets, where honor meets gratitude.
Hi, it's Mark Harder with RE/MAX Results, the largest RE/MAX franchise in the region. The summer housing market is hot, and the fall market looks to be as hot. If buying or selling a home is in your future, it is time to act now. Someday is not a day on the calendar, but today is. Call me, Mark Harder, for fast results. RE/MAX Results, 314-852-8933, 314-852-8933, and start packing.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right. I have a feeling that I'm going to tell you right now, through the rest of the week, we're going to start having a lot more fun. There's a lot of heavy news that's happening right now. And it's like, it's Christmas week. We're going to have some fun, but let's knock out some of this big stuff here going on. Epstein files, very, very partially released and in a very redacted way. Redbirds trade away another big name on this. I have seen some comments on social media. It's like, yeah, but isn't this par for the course with the Cardinals front office? Yep.
Yeah.
They got themselves in this situation. So I got very, very mixed feelings on it, which we'll get to here in just a minute. 6:51 right now. Let's do another news dump here.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. They got all the news. The morning news dump.
Okay, as it stands right now, Sam Page will face a criminal trial. So on Friday, a judge in Springfield denied his motion to dismiss the case. Page, as I'm sure you know, was indicted by a grand jury after using taxpayer money to campaign against a ballot proposal. Those are facts of the case that just aren't in question. He did do it. He just says it wasn't a crime.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. And yeah, the motion to dismiss, every criminal defendant is going to file a motion to dismiss, and 99% of them are going to be denied. So there's nothing really significant about that. It's just part of the process.
Yeah, because at some point, you never know. A judge could go, okay, got to at least shoot your shot, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that trial is in Greene County in Southwest Missouri after a change of venue was approved. The trial is now scheduled for March 23rd. Sam Page is not running for re-election as St. Louis County Executive.
Yay.
Yep. Yeah, it's great news for St. Louis County.
It is.
And yes, I understand that another Democrat is likely to win that race, although this
Probably.
one could be in reach of the Republicans.
It could.
We
If
never
ever
know.
it's going to be, this would be the time.
Exactly. I can tell you that little birdies have told me that the race for county executive is very possibly going to be shaken up in a very, very, very big way on the Democratic side in the coming weeks.
Okay.
Yes. Which could affect another race as well. So that's the rumor mill that's going out there. Okay. The Justice Department defending its handling of the release, such as it is, of the Jeffrey Epstein files that have been released.
The DOJ was required to release all the files by last Friday, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defends the decision to release just a fraction of them. He told NBC's Meet the Press that his department was obligated to act with caution and eventually will release all of the thousands of documents. But Democrats and other critics are not satisfied, accusing the Trump administration of trying to hide information. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And this, I think, is academically and probably in the legal profession as well, Susie, correct me if I'm wrong, known as a big old cluster F.
That is the actual Latin legal term for it. Yes. Yes, that is correct.
All right. The family of Ferguson police officer Travis Brown is thanking the St. Louis community. It's kind of a follow-up to what we were talking about, a week or two ago. On this past Saturday, Ferguson police delivered the gifts for his daughters that were collected through the TJ tree.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, which they put up in the lobby of the police department, and people went in, and the ornaments were wish list items from the girls' Christmas list. And people were like, I'll take this one, and they bought it and they brought it in, and so the girls got their presents on Saturday. Officer Brown continues to recover from that traumatic brain injury that was caused by a pro-Michael Brown protester during a violent protest earlier this year. So well done, St. Louis community, particularly Ferguson, Missouri.
Yes.
Way to go on that. Let's see here. What else we got going on here? All right. Vice President J.D. Vance delivering remarks in the final day of Turning Point USA's America Fest, which was in Phoenix. The vice president talks about missing Charlie Kirk.
I miss his optimism. I miss his energy. I miss the phone calls where we'd strategize about how to get this or that GOP congressman to get off their ass and do something. But most of all, I miss Charlie's wisdom.
That was a 4-day event that was overloaded with energy and good and bad and ugly and everything that went with it.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to put it. Yep. I wonder how many people are going to come back from AmFest with the Christmas crud, is what we used to call it. You go to a conference crud, you come back sick as a dog.
Oh, yeah. All right. Gas prices in the U.S. have dropped again, especially over the last 4 weeks. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg survey says the decrease in part is due to weak demand.
We've had a pump price drop of 9 cents per gallon in the past 2 weeks. This is on top of another drop before that in the prior 2 weeks. The new price of $2.99 per gallon for regular is 17 cents lower than a month ago.
Current price is 13 cents lower than 1 year ago today.
Woohoo!
Yep. And speaking of that, according to one of America's biggest insurance companies, tomorrow is the most dangerous day of the year to be on the roads.
Interesting.
Yeah. The report by Nationwide says that's because there are more people driving than
Higher
any other
volume.
day. Yep. And that means more distracted drivers. Report also made the list of states with the nicest and meanest drivers.
Oh.
Missouri is the 8th nicest.
Okay.
Illinois is the 10th meanest.
I don't doubt that for a second.
I don't either.
I've lived in both places.
Okay, the Blues are on the road tonight. They play in the league's early game. They take on the Lightning. That's going to be in Florida, 6 o'clock puck drop our time. Blues are just one game under 500 now.
Yeah, they won just the other day, didn't they?
Yeah, they
I
did.
saw.
Matter of fact, they've won 3 of their last 5 games. So they're starting to gel a little bit there.
No.
So you know what? Maybe we gave up a little
Shades
early.
of 2019.
Oh, we can only hope. We can only hope. They're actually, if they started the playoffs right now, they're actually only a game or so out of the wild card.
Wow.
The way that it's shaken out right now.
Keep at it, Blues.
That's right. Okay, Wilson Contreras is no longer a Cardinal. Yeah. He has been traded to the Red Sox for 3 right-handed pitchers, including one of Boston's top 25 prospects. Remember, Wilson Contreras, when Yachty retired, he went to the front office like, this is the guy. Get this guy. And they get him on there and mismanage him from almost the start.
I'm sure Yachty wasn't pleased.
I don't understand what all the cuss words are in Spanish, but I'm pretty sure Yachty said them all.
I think you're
I'm
right.
just guessing.
PRI Global now has Prismatic, an AI-driven platform that can help you and your business, especially in construction. Simplify your operations, secure data, modernize your business from the cloud up. Visit PRIGlobal.com. Innovation with talent and technology. People, process, platform. PRI Global delivers all 3. Check them out. PRIGlobal.com. PRIGlobal.com.
If you're worried about losing your health insurance through Medicaid, we have great news for you. New government regulations have expanded the Affordable Care Act. And now you may qualify to get health insurance for you and your family through the Affordable Care Act. Call now to learn if you qualify. We know the healthcare regulations regarding Medicaid, and we've helped thousands of people find quality, affordable health insurance. Plus, all our research is free to you. So call us. With just one call, we'll shop from hundreds of different insurance companies to find you the right affordable health insurance plan. So if you're worried about losing your Medicaid insurance, call right now. Speak with a licensed agent and find how you may qualify for a new health insurance plan.
800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. 800-479-0931. That's 800-479-0931. Paid for by the Health Insurance Hotline.
Number 1 for live and local
Conservative talk.
You can take these facts. I know for a fact. It's just about time. It's not now. When?
Oh, there's just so much to say and not enough time to say it or do it.
I'm sorry. This is our country. This is the country that you and I love.
I'm kind of not surprised.
Man, that's what they need.
Very upset.
A lot of fear.
I agree with that. And well, who couldn't agree with it? It's a fact.
1019 and 94.1.
St. Louis is number 1 for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
We'll prevail.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. There is speculation that the fingerprints of Ukrainian intelligence are all over this operation in Moscow.
Lieutenant General Fanil Savarov, head of the Operational Training Directorate of the Russian Armed Forces General Staff, died from injuries caused by a car explosion. A spokesperson for Russia's investigative committee says investigators say Ukraine could be behind the attack, the 3rd such killing of a senior military officer in a year. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov says that President Vladimir Putin had been immediately informed about Savarov's killing. The defense ministry adds the senior soldier had previously fought in Chechnya and taken part in Moscow's military campaign in Moscow. Moscow also has blamed Ukraine for several bombings and other attacks in Russia. I'm Charles Tillotez.
Weekend talks on ending the war in Ukraine were both productive and constructive.
That was the assessment from White House envoy Steve Witkoff, who met in Florida with Ukrainian and European representatives to end the nearly 4-year war. Ukraine's president also pointed to progress, saying all sides were moving quickly. Although just last week, President Zelensky said he didn't think Russia's Vladimir Putin wants peace. Greg Clugston, Washington.
It's a pursuit on the high seas, with the U.S. Coast Guard going after an oil tanker in international waters in the Caribbean. The ship is carrying sanctioned Venezuelan oil, according to U.S. officials. If seized, it would be the 3rd tanker to be impounded by the U.S. in the enforcement of sanctions on Venezuela. Promoting a big tent, Vice President Vance. He says the conservative movement should welcome anyone who loves America. He spoke at Turning Point USA's annual convention over the weekend in Phoenix. Watching Wall Street, the Dow futures up 19 points. NASDAQ futures ahead 159. More on these stories at townhall.com.
You know me. I believe in freedom, independence, and the values that built this country. Not the first day, President Trump has taken the steps towards reviving our economy. But inflation, trade deficits, and global uncertainty are hitting hardworking Americans where it hurts. Here's the truth. I refuse to let these hidden forces decide my future. That's why I help protect my wealth with real assets, physical gold and silver. For generations, these metals have held value no matter who's in office or what the markets do. To me, gold and silver mean independence, not just for today, but for tomorrow. If you want the peace of mind I've found, it's time to take action. I've partnered with the #1 rated precious metals company, Goldco, and right now they're offering first-time buyers a rebate of up to 10% in bonus silver on qualified accounts. Visit lauralikesgold.com to learn how you can help safeguard your savings with gold and silver the way I do. That's Laura Likes Gold.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Concha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Concha.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
Well, what is it? Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Ruthie's Family Restaurant, Williams Brothers Meats, Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
Now you can fly anywhere in the world and pay discount prices on your airline tickets. Book a flight today to London, Paris, Madrid, or anywhere else you want to go and pay a lot less guaranteed. Call the International Travel Department right now at Low Cost Airlines.
800-515-2397. 800-515-2397. That's 800-515-2397.
Mike Ferguson.
I'm a stud. I'm ballsy. I don't take no from anyone.
Susie Moore.
I disagree on his assessment of the situation.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice. Drain the swamp and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now. Believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Get up! This is your cousin.
You okay over there?
No, I've got little bow earrings on, and they're poking my ears.
Oh no!
Yeah,
I just saw her like grimace in
first
pain.
world problems.
I'm like, co-host down.
I might take those earrings out for the rest of the show.
All right. Big promises are made every year in politics, obviously. Campaign trail in office. In Missouri, though, there is a chance for lawmakers to actually deliver on them. Will they do it? And this could be big. We are now joined by Camellia Peterson from Americans for Prosperity, Missouri. And Camellia, a lot of talk about getting rid of the income tax. I want to start there on this. Okay. And, a lot of people said, okay, there's a plan. The governor's on board, but now the Speaker of the House does an interview in Kansas City. And it sounds like he says, nope, this is priority. It's getting fast track. Could we actually see an end to the state income tax in Missouri actually passed, not just talked about on a campaign trail?
Good morning, Mike, and Susie and Jerome. I have been optimistic about few things, such as I am about this one in this next session. So It's really exciting. It's really fun. Everybody seems to, there just seems to be a real cohesiveness among leadership in the legislature and the governor. So, yeah, I think, their job now will be working out all the details that are going to go along with that and, rallying the people of Missouri behind that as well. And I'm going to tell you, I am sitting here, and one of the things that AFP has been doing over the last few months is we have been getting postcards from the grassroots. And basically, a lot of times we give legislators a hard time and tell them when they're doing things wrong, right? But we also think that it's important to give them that positive reinforcement and say thank you as well. So for the last few months, we have had folks that have been writing postcards of encouragement and thank you to Governor Kehoe for his commitment to getting this done. And it's really so neat reading through all of these because you've got, young men that are in college and they're looking forward to, having a family and building a career. And this is something they want for their success. And, just people all across the political the spectrum as far as, their income level are writing these notes saying, thank you for doing this. Keep going.
Camellia, there does seem to be a healthy appetite and a sort of refreshing vibe coming off of the legislature and the governor, and so it does seem, like there's reason to be optimistic. Do we have a sense? Is this something that they're going to be able to tackle and push through early on in the session, or is it something where we're going to get in there and it's going to drag on and on and on, and it's going to be May before they actually get it done?
Sure. Well, and I think that's probably the big question, because we all know it's been kind of a rocky year in the legislature, in terms of calling the previous question in the Senate, which, made a lot of people upset. And so along with the redistricting and all that other stuff, there's, I think, some uncertainty with how things are going to go across the aisle come time. But from everything that I have seen, I would say they are going to drop this on the day of the State address, and they are going to run with it and go hard. And then I guess we'll see where we go on this. This would be a really great thing for Democrats to push to be honest, because, affordability and, people being able to afford housing and all those other kind of things are big deals for their constituents too.
Camellia, there's not any one way to do this right when it comes to getting rid of the income tax. There's probably not just one way to do it wrong. Right. Whatever the right way ends up being, what should that include? What's the right approach to do it, regardless of what the final details are? What are some basic concepts and principles that really need to be applied on this?
Sure. I do think that to get this done and to make a change this big is going to be a multi-pronged approach, right? But it's going to require a few different things. It's going to require us to re-examine the way we do taxes in the state, and we need to make sure that load is distributed evenly among the people who are in the state, so that certain groups don't have carve-outs where other people are having to pay. And we also have to cut spending. There's no doubt about that. I was just reading one of these postcards that says they want to cut the income tax, but the people recognize that we have to cut spending too.
Camellia, obviously this is going to be sucking up a lot of the oxygen, particularly early on, a lot of discussion about it, a lot of energy around it. That's a good thing. What are the other key priorities you think that you're optimistic the legislature is going to be able to get to this session?
Sure. I think we will see some changes in terms of other taxes too, as far as like real property and personal property taxes. I don't know exactly what it will look like yet, but I think there is a sense that maybe the income tax legislation will include a way to start reducing some of that property tax as well. But there will definitely be a lot of legislation addressing some of the root problems with those issues that we've seen across the state. And then there are actually a lot of exciting things coming through the legislature, I think, in the next year. We'll see a lot of things having to do with energy and trying to open up more ways to make energy cheaper, and also more options for energy in Missouri, like nuclear. Nuclear is something a lot of people are talking about right now. And just a lot of deregulatory types of things. We will once again, be pushing the REINS Act to kind of rein in the administrative state and the rules that agencies make. And, there is a checks and balances that needs to be in place with that from both the legislature and the governor.
We're visiting with Camellia Peterson from our friends at Americans for Prosperity, the Missouri chapter, obviously. And so, Camellia, one thing you brought up that I think cannot be emphasized enough is that while a lot of people talk about cutting or eliminating a tax, which means the government doesn't take as much of my money, yes, that's important, but that's also by default a restraint on government. And that is crucial as well, because then you talked about the regulatory stuff, on businesses that also is related to restraint on government, because at its core, leaders in the state say we've got to compete with all of these other states. Illinois is basically begging businesses to leave. We're competing with Tennessee that's doing a lot of things right. Kansas is using a lot of corporate welfare. Update on that here in about 10 minutes. But also it's a matter of trying to grow opportunity in the state. And I think there are enough people in the majority party that say government isn't going to provide that opportunity. We've got to get government out of the way. And you only do that when you restrain government.
That's right. 100%. I mean, we have heard so much in the last few months about all of the fraud that they've been finding in Obamacare and all of these government programs. And it just makes you think, it doesn't matter which party is in charge. Government never does anything well or efficiently. And so I will tell you, we have some good people serving in the Missouri legislature who are very cognizant of that issue. And so there are bills that have been filed just in terms of government efficiency to try to clean up that inefficiency and that waste that just goes on that is inherent in the system. And we have to be constantly vigilant about that. And so there are opportunities for us to do that and to let private businesses do things better than the government ever can.
Amelia, I know obviously the legislature, or the GOP in the legislature, is on board. The governor's on board. AFP's on board. Many Missouri voters are on board. Where do we anticipate the biggest pushback coming from in relation to doing away with the income tax?
I think that we've already seen some pushback coming out, even in the article that Mike mentioned from Speaker Peterson. Pushback from the Democrats that, they're saying, well, we're going to bankrupt the state, we're going to cut essential services. And those things are not accurate, because I think that, the governor and his team and the legislators have been, very cognizant of mistakes that have been made by other states. And they've been very careful to create this plan and craft it in a way that makes sense for Missouri and is responsible. And so I have a lot of confidence in that. But I think, you'll get, obviously pushback there. I think that there will probably be pushback from certain groups that maybe have gotten carve-outs in other taxes for themselves. It's hard to say, though. One thing that I will say for sure here is that Governor Kehoe is really great at working with people and kind of bringing them along on things and finding that way to deal with them. And so I have a lot of confidence in his ability to bring those folks along too.
We're visiting with Camellia Peterson, Americans for Prosperity. Okay, last minute or so here. Camellia, we're going to be hanging out at the Capitol here in just a few weeks because you all and NewsTalkSTL are partnering to bring a couple of our shows, including this one, directly from the Capitol on the first day of this legislative session. And I'm really excited we're going to be doing this.
Yeah, me too. And I will say, I was talking with Chris Arps the other day, and one of the things I mentioned to him is that we have worked with you guys on so many things over the last couple of years. And one of the biggest things in this last year was that event we did with Glenn Jacobs, Kane. And it was so exciting. And of course, that event was about eliminating the income tax. And so I'm excited to do opening day with you guys. And I just saw Mr. Jacobs on Twitter the other day, and he was giving us props for the Missouri GOP supporting the governor's plan to eliminate the income tax. And I was like, you have to come celebrate with us when we get it passed, and he's going to do it.
Yeah, because he actually made the rounds at the Capitol the day after our event, and lawmakers were asking, okay, so what are the problems you're dealing with? What's the right, so he was given some insight into that. But Americans for Prosperity, Missouri, sponsoring not just the morning show here, but the Tim Jones and Chris Arp show, both on the opening day of the legislative session on January 7th. We are going to be broadcasting from the Capitol. And if I ask real nice, I think Camellia might be talked into stopping by for at least a segment on the show.
Maybe.
Oh, I'm sure. Maybe.
Yeah, we're actually going to have, we're actually loading up and booking that show. And let's just say the top names, the most influential people in the state are going to be on the program with us that day. So I really appreciate AFP Missouri and Camellia and you all for making this happen. I think it's really going to be almost a crossroads legislative session. We've gone into legislative sessions in the last few years going, yeah, we're not expecting much. I'm expecting a lot this time.
I am too. And hey, I have a quick Christmas question for you. So it's a Christmas question because somebody gave me this mug for Christmas, and it's the 5 words and phrases everyone mispronounces. And I won't go through all of the others, but I will ask you, how do you think most people mispronounce taxation?
I think I know the answer to this.
Theft?
Absolutely. All right, Camellia, we've tagged you and AFP on social media. Looking forward to catching up on the 7th, but you actually, I think, are going to be in here with Susie next week.
I am so excited for that. Yes.
We're going to have fun. Looking forward to it.
All right. Thanks, Camellia. We'll talk to you soon.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
You too, Camellia. Another popular business is shutting down instead of continuing to do business downtown. At 7:20, let's find out why a popular journalist says city government is part of the reason.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL.
Get up, can't you hear the alarm?
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Did Donald Trump and Republicans make everything great again over the weekend? We'll discuss with Senator Jim Talent at 4:25. At 5:25, Red State Headlines with Susie Moore.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps. Weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Ken Williams, and my favorite Capriati sandwich is the Cap Pastrami. You've got hot pastrami, melty Swiss cheese, crunchy coleslaw, and zesty Russian dressing. What else do you need? I love Capriati's, and you will too.
On Manchester at McKnight in Rock Hill.
License number E2014A.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Grandpa had a soft spot for dogs.
Yeah, he always had treats in his pocket.
He said if you're going to take care of people, you better take care of their best friends too.
Is that why we help dog shelters?
That's right. For every service call, we donate 10 pounds of dog food to local dog shelters, helping dogs waiting for a home.
Grandpa would like that.
He sure would.
Green is always grasser at grasserhomeservices.com.
If you've turned 65 recently like me, it's important you find a Medicare Advantage plan that gives you the coverage you're looking for. But finding one can be difficult. The best thing I did, and I suggest you do the same, is call a licensed insurance agent and let them walk you through your Medicare Advantage plan options. There are so many benefits you have access to, so make the call now and let the representatives explain everything to you. Our licensed insurance agents can offer you a variety of Medicare Advantage plans. Plus, the call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation to enroll. We're here to make it easy for you to select a Medicare Advantage plan that may work for your needs. Finding a Medicare Advantage plan can be easy if you do what I did. Make a quick call right now to learn more. Thank you.
800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. 800-439-7851. That's 800-439-7851.
Hey, thank you very much for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Yes, I just want you to know what a breath of fresh air you people are.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
Yes, but you remember back in the 80s, Susie, when, what was it, before Trans-Siberian Orchestra came around, what was the name of that band that did kind of the synthesized modern
Mannheim Steamroller?
Mannheim Steamroller, yes. They were really edgy and they were really cutting edge there for for a bit, for a few minutes, and then in the 80s, and then here comes Trans-Siberian Orchestra in the 90s.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's doing it.
I can never remember which one's which. Like if a song is playing on the radio and I know it's one of them, then I have to like be like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
right. And of course, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, which has turned into this event now.
Mhm.
They're either coming to St. Louis or they were just here.
I think they're here on the 23rd.
23rd. Okay, so tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have never seen them live. I would love to see that, but I'm can't make it. I got other things going on here. All right, 7:22 right now. Okay, so a popular and sometimes controversial business has announced that they're shutting down, and it's actually got a lot of St. Louis talking about this. It is another business that's done with the city, specifically downtown. Elliot Davis had an interesting take on this one on Facebook.
Really?
And I want to get to that in just a minute here. Real quick, though, since we just talked to Camellia about the state legislative stuff, over in Kansas, the governor, her name is Laura Kelly, is the governor of Kansas. They have called a press conference for what they say is a major announcement this afternoon at 3:00 with the state economic development people, and a friend of mine who does this show, the equivalent of this show, but in Kansas City, Pete Mundo, he's posted that this has to do with the Chiefs and the Royals.
Oh,
yeah. And the mayor of Kansas City, his name is Quentin Lucas. He has told media that he is tentatively going to have a press conference to respond to that an hour later, depending on what's said. So nobody is leaking what's going to be said, but the governor is saying we have a big announcement with economic development people, and multiple reports say it has to do with at least the Chiefs, maybe the Chiefs and the Royals.
Yeah, I don't think you call a presser to say we're not going to have them move over here.
Yeah, so I don't know what it all means, so I don't want to get out ahead of it. But this shows. I asked, and I texted a couple people last night. I'm like, hey, what do you know about this? And one of them was Nick Schroer. I texted. I was like, well, you hear anything about this? And he basically said, no, and I don't care. Let him go. And I'm like, that's the right answer. Don't let the door hit you on the way out. As far as I'm concerned, I think he's absolutely right. But if Kansas says we got them, they're moving across the state line, then that is mud on the face of every Republican who rushed to hand out a bunch of taxpayer money and cronyism to these billionaires who own these
Fair
states.
point.
Yep. So we'll see. Now tomorrow we'll have an update on whatever was said or not said on that. Okay, so I got a text from my daughter Saturday, I guess it was Saturday or something, and she said, "Hey, don't freak out, but where she works is this bar and nightclub right next to Busch Stadium called the Wheelhouse." And I'll be really honest, I'm not wild about her working there. One, because it's downtown and where it is.
Sure.
So they've got a lot of problems in that area. And she goes, we're losing our job because they're closing down. She goes, but I got something else lined up already. So don't worry, just and I'm like, well, wow, I'm really sorry to hear that. Well, then about 30 minutes after she sends me that text, I start seeing the Business Journal writes an article on it. And then, one of the TV stations writes an article. I mean, so like a lot of people are talking about this. And Elliot Davis had an interesting take on this on Facebook. And some of this, he says, you can blame the city government for. And he actually traced it back to the shutdown era under Tashara Jones.
Okay.
Which I thought, well, that's interesting because you're going back, 4 years now at this point, 4 or 5 years now. And because the Wheelhouse, and I forgot about this, they fought back.
That's true.
Against the closures and the mandates and the distancing. And they actually fought back, and the city issued an order to shut them down because they weren't complying with a bunch of rules that it turns out were completely nonsense anyway. And so he says they had trouble recovering from that. I don't know. I mean, after that many years, like I guess it's possible that they lost enough money that they had to, I don't know. But then he also just pointed out the crime in the area.
Yeah.
Now the Wheelhouse is a profitable business. They're really, really packed. They're really popular. My daughter has told me a number of times, oh yeah, we've got a procedure when a shooting happens. And I'm like, I don't want my little girl in a situation where everybody just shrugs and goes, okay, shooting protocol, and they go do their thing.
Yeah.
And it's not that it happens in that particular bar.
No, around it.
All around it.
Yeah.
That's where there was an officer involved shooting last summer, I think it was.
Yeah,
This
spring or
past summer.
summer, yeah.
That happened. And the officer turned out it was what they call a good shoot. It was justified. He
Mhm.
used the proper. Then there was another bar that I guess is more of a problem across the way. Now, to be fair, they've also been busted for having underage drinkers in there.
Well, that's never happened
That's
before.
right, exactly. And it turns out that the bouncer was taking bribes for
Oh.
underage, and apparently it was well known, and they fired him when they got busted. But they fired him. But I'm looking at the comments. I'm like, yeah, apparently that was not a secret.
It was an open secret.
So, but Elliot Davis goes on there and says, this is walking distance from Ballpark Village.
Yeah.
I mean, literally just on the other side of the stadium. And he was pointing out that city government allowing the crime to go as bad as it has, and being so willing to crack down and shut down businesses, that he says that city government is basically at least partially responsible for yet another business leaving downtown, especially one that's like 2 blocks from Busch Stadium.
Well, yeah, and I think it's underscored by the fact that this is a profitable business. This is not a situation with a business that was struggling.
Right.
The struggles aren't financial. They're environmental, if you will.
Right.
And the environment, unfortunately, in downtown St. Louis has deteriorated. And I say that as somebody who worked down there for almost 30 years. Actually, I did for 30 years because I came to the station too,
Right.
while we were still downtown.
Yeah, we started off downtown, yeah.
And so it's I don't know what the break point is. I mean, I feel like current leadership at least seems to be focusing on improving and taking care of the basic functions of city government, but there's so much that needs to change. And crime is such a huge component.
Yeah, and they're not relocating somewhere else. They're just saying, we're done.
We're out.
And I finally actually saw that place because a week or so ago, she texted, she goes, can you bring me lunch? We're getting ready to open up. And so Rachel and I brought her, and my daughter's boyfriend also works there. And so she finally showed me around. That place is massive.
It is.
It's huge. So it's not like they can just pick up and find another place that big. And if they could, it would cost 3 times as much in other suburbs.
Yep.
So they've just decided to go out of business after like 11 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think this should be a wake-up call if they haven't already had wake-up calls. City needs to get its act together. They maybe should talk to big city mayors that are seeing success. Indianapolis is a good example. I think even Nashville is a decent example. Nashville has its own problems, but that was because of overgrowth, a lot of that. But they do need to start figuring out how to make this work.
Right. Yeah. And Indianapolis is a perfect example. I think that's probably the best example you can have. So it's going to take some time with the state taking over, oversight of the police department. Eventually, we know that's going to get better. We hope at the very least, because the city can't control that. But yeah, look up Elliot Davis TV and look at his post on that. It was actually kind of interesting. Some people agreed, some people disagreed.
Right.
But I thought he made some really, really valid points on all of that.
Worth checking out.
Yep.
Now we're waiting for the city to get their act together. Will Republicans in Congress deliver changes to healthcare in this country and undo at least some of the damage Obamacare has done? We'll get to that update from Congressman Dr. Bob Onder at 7:35, so stay tuned right after Larry Connor's commentary.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On NewsTalkSTL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head, Vic head. Here.
And you can win some great prizes with NewsTalkSTL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
What?
You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Oh!
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Ami's Pizzeria and Restaurants, Small Cakes Cupcakery and Creamery, and Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
Larry Connor's Commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit vincentsjewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's Commentary on News Talk STL.
I'm going to say something, but please do not take my remarks out of context. This is something I never thought I would say. And again, please don't take my remarks out of context. I'm willing to say that I agree with something Michelle Obama said. There, I'm fully exposed. I don't even have a fig leaf when I say I agree with Michelle Obama. Okay, don't rush off shouting. Larry is lost, a sellout, an idiot, at least not based on those remarks. Hear me out. Michelle Obama is promoting her new book titled The Look. I don't plan on buying it. But in the interview, she was asked about a couple of quotes. One, a woman in the public eye is often reduced, first and foremost, to her physical appearance. And that's where Michelle stated, we have to pick leaders who do not rob women of their femininity. Wow, that is a slap in the face of leftists who diminished women, focusing on transgender and similar issues. And in the process, Michelle said, robbing women of their femininity. So when she says we don't want those kinds of leaders for the future, well, there it is. I have to say, I do agree with Michelle Obama, but we're only talking about this point, right?
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
Previously, I've told you about dustless blasting, a special service offered by Wellington Environmental. It could work for you in your place. Recently, a crew removed a driveway sealer that had failed. The owner wanted to go back to the original concrete so it could be properly sealed. Dustless blasting worked. That homeowner is happy. Now, sometimes surfaces need pressure washing instead of blasting. In fact, there was an exterior stone fireplace cleansed by pressure washing. And when it dried, all the dark stain was gone. That stone had its original appearance. Wellington is versatile with blasting. Dustless blasting or whatever you need. They will evaluate and make a decision. How do you get them to your door? Very easy. Call 314-644-4930. 644-4930. Wellington Environmental, making your world great. In fact, be safe, be well with Wellington Environmental.
Hey, Columbo here for Rockwood Charcoal. Rockwood is made from 100% pure Missouri oak and hickory, so you're cooking with the best and supporting local industry and a local business all at once. There's over 100 area Rockwood retailers. Find yours at rockwoodcharcoal.com.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common sense, science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on Newstalk STL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you find yourself feeling out of place in the world, it's comforting to know conservative values haven't been abandoned everywhere.
The far left wants to destroy conservative values in America.
This is News Talk STL. Welcome home.
The Mike Ferguson Show is one of my favorite programs. In addition to Larry Connors USA, catch my program at 6. Now, back to Mike.
I've just seen some of the pictures you've generated for the Christmas, and me as the Grinch is probably pretty accurate.
Yes.
It's so true.
And Susie got a pony this year.
I didn't sound. Where can I find those pictures?
Well, if you're watching our amazing stream on Rumble,
I have. Oh, okay.
Facebook or Twitter.
I have been, but I've been flipping back and forth. There. Okay, I'm a reindeer.
There you go. All right. Question of the day. One of the questions of the day. Are we close to winning the battle over the gender nonsense? And winning as in put a period on it, and then we can move on to other things. I don't know the answer to that, but we think we may be closer. We're now joined by Congressman Bob Onder. And Bob, let me start there. I mean, because this has been one of the key things. I mean, you've been the one who's been sort of carrying some of this legislation in the House and the fight on this. And obviously your medical background is massive on this. The president signs an executive order saying no more gender mutilation of minors. I don't know the extent of the legal binding on that, but where are we in this particular effort to stop what is clearly just mutilating, children in this country?
Yeah, good morning. It's great to be back. We have made some enormous strides in this battle to protect kids this year, beginning in January with President Trump's executive orders, one of which was to have the Justice Department work with Congress to pass a bill to ban gender-denying care. And actually, I'm honored to be carrying that bill myself, the Chloe Cole Act. But really, several big things happened just last week. We passed a pair of bills out of the House. One, a different ban on gender-denying care by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And then right before we left for break, the last vote we took was Congressman Dan Crenshaw's bill to defund gender-denying care in Medicaid. But even more immediately impactful, on Wednesday, RFK Jr. announced a new provision, a new regulation that would say that hospitals who do gender-denying care, do chemical and surgical castration of kids, would be ineligible to participate in Medicare and Medicaid, which is essentially for a hospital, basically the death penalty. So basically that amounts to a ban on these gender clinics that exploit and mutilate our kids. So huge victory last week.
Well, Bob, y'all had another victory too, in that the House passed the health care plan, and that actually, I think, maybe surprised people that it had passed as quickly as it did and without a whole lot of controversy. And it's moved on to the Senate. Do you have any sense of what's going to happen with it in the Senate? Obviously, nothing until after the first of the year.
Right. Well, I am hopeful the Senate will take a look at it. Some of the provisions in that bill passed the Senate previously, passed the House previously and were not taken up by the Senate. But I think this year we have a new sense of urgency about health care and health care affordability that I'm hopeful will bode well for that bill. We did a number of things. So all this talk about extending these COVID Obamacare subsidies, that only amounts to about a 4% difference one way or the other in the premiums in Obamacare. But we did something in that bill, which was to fix the cost share reduction part of Obamacare, which would result in a 12% decrease in premiums in Obamacare for Obamacare enrollees. But we did other things like PBM reform. We allowed association health plans, so groups of businesses could get together and form their own health plan. And my own bill to protect employer-sponsored insurance, something that is under siege in some red states, so in some blue states. So it was a big victory. But yeah, it won't do anything unless the Senate takes it up. But I'm hopeful they will give a look at it.
Yeah, so somewhat of a step towards less government regulation would be better than nothing. I've heard a couple of media outlets saying, hey, by the way, don't forget some of these spending authorizations on a couple different things. They're not as long-term as some of the others. Are we at risk of any sort of hiccup in government operations? I don't think there's going to be risk of a full government shutdown again. But could there be some hiccups at some point in January with some of these bills expiring if the Democrats decide to stomp their feet again?
Oh, for sure. I mean, so far we've only passed 3 of our 12 budget bills, and the 30th of January will mark the expiration for the departments of government affected by the other 9. So yeah, we are at risk of another shutdown, and unfortunately, the Democrats seem to think that stomping their feet is their best course of action, that opposing the orange man and opposing Republicans is somehow good for them electorally. I don't think they're right. But I do have a fear that is the case. On the House side, we have passed all 12 budget bills out of committee. We've passed the 3 that were signed into law and several others out of the House of Representatives. So we're doing our work, but at some point, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer have to decide: do they want to inflict the kind of pain on the American people they did last summer and fall?
Well, Bob, obviously you all don't have control over what the Senate does. They've got their own issues. But on the House side, particularly with, for instance, Marjorie Taylor Greene leaving, and the numbers dwindling, the margin dwindling, what is your sense of the likelihood of the House being able to pass the rest of those appropriations bills, the ones that have passed out of committee now?
Yeah, I think we can do it. I think the House will be able to do it, even with our narrow majorities. We've had our own issues over on the House side. I mean, this business of 4 or 5 Republicans more working with the Democrats and Hakeem Jeffries to do discharge petitions to subvert, a lot of times that gets spoken of as a way of subverting the will of leadership, but really the will of all Republican caucus members. Because when we decide to do one thing and Hakeem Jeffries decide to do the other, we need to stick together with these narrow majorities, and not do the bidding of the progressive Democrat left. And these Republicans who keep breaking with us on discharge petitions, I think they think that governing like Democrats light somehow is their key to reelection. I think they're wrong, and it's really critical that we stick together with these very narrow majorities.
All right, we're visiting with Congressman Bob Onder here. Okay, so big question. Obviously, everybody's talking about the Epstein files. Fraction of the documents they acknowledge they have been released, and hundreds of pages literally completely blacked out. What's your assessment of the job the DOJ is doing in complying with that law that passed overwhelmingly? I mean, bipartisan overwhelmingly as well. What's your assessment of what they're doing right now?
Right. I mean, count me among those who are frustrated with the Department of Justice and the slow rolling of the Epstein file rollout. Now, I get it. They're saying with hundreds of thousands of pages of documents in order to protect the identity of the victims, and just because of the sheer volume of the material, they need to roll it out a little at a time. But of course, this has been an issue since January, and it was an issue that the president, other Republicans ran on. So I'm frustrated with the slow rollout, all the redactions. I get it. We have to protect the identity of victims, but does that mean whole pages, whole photos have to be blacked out? But I think we'll eventually get it all, but I think we're going to have to keep up the pressure. And I really don't know why the Trump administration didn't just rip the Band-Aid off early and let the chips fall where they may and get behind it, because the way it's going, it's just a slow drip.
Bob, you mentioned keeping up the pressure. Do you see a role of Congress in terms of either the Judiciary Committee or oversight, basically having, people from the Justice Department testify and explain what the situation is, and continuing to put that pressure on them?
Yeah, I think there is a role there, Susie. Yeah, so far the Oversight Committee has taken the lead on this, James Comer and his colleagues. But yeah, I think that will probably be necessary.
All right, you are on break now, right, for the holidays?
We are. Our last votes were on Thursday, and it was an eventful week to say the least. But yeah, we're back in the district for a couple of weeks here over the holidays.
All right. Hopefully, I can run into you one of the events around town here at some point.
I'm sure we will.
All right, Congressman Bob Onder, have a Merry Christmas. Appreciate you being on. Looking forward to the updates as we go and get into the new year.
Merry Christmas. Have a great week.
Thanks, Bob. You too. You know the movie Homeward Bound?
Yeah, with the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a dog and a cat.
Yeah, dog and a cat. Yeah.
Well, I have a story about a lost kitty
Ooh.
that I'm going to share with you on Tell Me Something Good coming up right after this.
Okay.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart, but the very next day, you gave it away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
The people know the truth.
on News Talk STL.
I'll give it to someone special.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com. Or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Winter's coming fast. Is your furnace ready? Johnson Heating and Cooling is here to help. Get our complete furnace checkup for just $99. We'll check for gas leaks, inspect electrical connections, and examine your flue to keep your family safe and warm. We service all brands of equipment, and we're fully licensed and insured. From furnace maintenance to air conditioning service, new installations to repairs, call 636-332-4141 or visit johnson-heatingandcooling.com.
Hey, this is Todd Showalter. Join me on Saturday at 5 as I try to put some fun back into this dysfunctional radio station. It's the Right Mind Show with me, Todd Showalter, at 5 on Saturday. And, speaking of dysfunctional, let's get back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I just saw the picture of the generated picture of me getting cold. That was really funny. I want that picture. I'm thinking that might be temporary profile picture.
Yeah, I might need to borrow some of those
I'm thinking
too.
that might be one of those. Oh my goodness. All right.
At least it's not you in a glittery dress looking back over your shoulder.
Don't judge what I do at night.
I've seen too much of that on Facebook lately. Just saying.
All right, 7:49. I'm kidding, Mom, because she watches and listening sometimes. Just saying. All right, 7:49 here. All right, I'm telling you, we're heading into Christmas. We are not going to be knocked down, dragging out, all the just redlining divisive stuff all week. When there's big news we're talking about, we're going to have a lot of fun
Enough
this week.
with the Sturm und
I
Drang.
know, just saying. I mean, far as you know, we might even be drinking by Wednesday before, just saying.
Why wait?
That's right. It's 5:00 somewhere. Okay. But this is a great time to start off the week with Susie, you telling us something good.
Tell me something good.
An Idaho Secret Santa is giving $1 million to local residents dealing with chaos. Santa has arrived early in Idaho in the form of a mystery donor who is giving away $1 million to families in crisis. The Secret Santa of the Gem State started making Christmas magic a couple of months ago and will continue spreading joy through the end of the year. One of the earliest gifts was a 2025 Honda minivan and $1,000 for a family that has conjoined twins, which occurs about once in every 50,000 births. Twin sisters Callie and Carter Torres were not expected to survive more than 24 hours. Instead, they have grown to be 8 years old, defying the odds on a daily basis. Their medical condition requires a non-collapsible wheelchair and frequent 3-hour trips from their home in Blackfoot, Idaho to Salt Lake City. Another gift was delivered to a new mom who lost her house in a freak accident. A month after her baby was born in July, a truck ran a stop sign and crashed into Emma's house. Her living room was destroyed, a wall collapsed, windows shattered, and water lines were ruptured, flooding the entire first floor and basement. Thankfully, Emma and her new baby were safe, but the family has been displaced ever since. The Secret Santa gave the family a $1,000 gift card for gas and a $5,000 gift card to houseware stores.
Wow.
Yet another memorable gift was awarded to Megan Mabey, a beloved teacher at Hobbs Middle School in Shelley, Idaho. An attic fire ignited in Mabey's house earlier this month, and her home was rendered uninhabitable. Her family's been rotating through hotel rooms and rentals ever since and will be displaced for about 6 to 8 months. Christmas spirit has surged throughout Idaho, and Secret Santa is also delivering cash and presents to family that adopted 4 kids after having 5 of their own. A man who was paralyzed following a spinal stroke, a woman who was dealing with a brain injury following a car accident, and many, many others. Thank you, Idaho Santa.
Yeah, see, I'm thinking that would be the fun part of being like ridiculously rich is being able to do stuff like that.
Yeah, agreed.
Tell me something good.
I actually thought I might win the Powerball this weekend, and that's what I would do if I won it.
But you're here, so you didn't.
As far as you know. Swearing can actually be good for you.
Oh,
this is some good news, right?
All right, yes.
According to new research, dropping an F-bomb can boost your performance by helping you feel stronger, more focused, and disinhibited, say scientists. Most who curse like a sailor know that letting out a swear word in a moment of frustration can feel good. Now, new research by psychologists suggests that it really can be good for your well-being. The study, published in the journal American Psychologist, shows that swearing can boost people's physical performance by helping them overcome their inhibitions and pushing themselves harder in strength and endurance tests. In many situations, people hold themselves back, consciously or unconsciously, from using their full strength, says study author Dr. Richard Stevens of Keele University in Staffordshire, England. Swearing is an easily available way to help yourself feel focused, confident, and less distracted, and go for it a little more. Previous research by Dr. Stevens and his colleagues found that when people swear, they perform better on many physical challenges, including how long they can keep their hand in ice water and how long they can support their body weight during a chair push-up exercise. Dr. Stevens and his colleagues believe that it might be that swearing puts people in a disinhibited state of mind. By swearing, we throw off social constraint and allow ourselves to push harder in different situations. Swearing is literally a calorie-neutral, drug-free, low-cost, readily available tool at our disposal for when we need a boost in performance.
F yeah. That's all I can do, as close as I can come on the radio.
Tell me something good.
Now, somewhat personal story. Friends of mine had a sweet little 1-year-old kitty named Bowie that went missing around December 9th of this year.
Yeah.
And they put a word out on Facebook. They let everybody know. They let the lost and found folks know. They were looking for their sweet little cat. It's actually in the subdivision next to the subdivision where my mom lives. So I told her to be on the lookout. Day after day, there were a couple reported sightings of him, but he wasn't coming home. And we had that horrible cold snap. And they were so worried. As someone who has lost a cat and knows somebody else who's lost a cat that way, I was feeling terrible, terrible, terrible for them. However, on December 17th, they found their Bowie.
Nice.
Yes, he was actually, someone saw him run across the street and went into a sewer. They had to kind of pull him out of the sewer, but Bowie is home safe and sound with his family. Congrats to John and Joni. I'm so glad you have your Bowie home with you in time for Christmas.
Completely empathize with them. Punky pulled the disappearing act earlier this year too,
horrible,
and
horrible
I was
feeling.
shocked at how upset I was over this
Awful feeling.
until she was found like 5 days later or something like that. Yeah, I get it. Totally get it. Love that they got their cat back.
Me too.
Tell me something good.
All right, it's time for the national days. Ready? Today is National Date Nut Bread Day. What the heck? I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, that's a new one. for
Date
me.
nut bread.
Yeah, okay.
I'm skeptical. It's also Forefathers Day, which is commemorating the landing of the Pilgrim Fathers in Plymouth, Massachusetts. Now, technically, they landed on December 21st, but it's celebrated on the 22nd for whatever reason. Tomorrow, Tuesday, is National Roots Day. In other words, look into your family history sort of thing.
Okay.
National Pfeffernuss Day. I did not know what a Pfeffernuss was. It's
Can we say that on the radio?
Pfeffernuss.
Pfeffernuss?
I feel better saying it. It's a German spice cookie.
Oh, okay.
It's also Festivus. So if you've got a gripe with the Pfeffernusses, you can bring them up tomorrow. Air your grievances. Wednesday is National Eggnog Day.
Woo!
So you
Thumbs up
said
or-
we said we might need to drink on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
I was gonna say thumbs up or thumbs down on eggnog. Around the room.
We call ourselves the Noggers, and yes, I am a diehard member of that community.
Yeah, I used to, and I would get the just the milk carton non-alcoholic kind. I used to love it because of my sweet tooth when I was younger. Now it's just overwhelming.
Yeah,
to
I
me.
can't do it.
No.
I could drink a White Russian though.
There you go.
It's also Christmas Eve in case you hadn't figured that one out. So be sure to celebrate that on Wednesday. Thursday, National Pumpkin Pie Day. Alphabet Day. You know why it's Alphabet Day?
Why?
Noel.
Oh. Okay.
Noel.
There it is.
And it's Christmas. Yay! Happy birthday, baby Jesus. And Friday is National Winers Day, National Thank You Note Day.
Can I go back to the Winers Day?
Yeah.
Whining as in drinking wine or whining as being...
WHI.
Okay, so
this
the
is
complainers.
complains.
Got
So it's
it.
like,
Okay.
I'm like, we had just had Festivus on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Why do we need to whine on Friday? I don't know.
Okay, all right.
National Thank You Note Day, which is appropriate because you just got all your Christmas presents, right? So you got to send out your notes. National Candy Cane Day. That makes sense because people get the candy canes in their stockings, except for Mike, who's getting coal.
That's right. As you can see on the video.
You might need you send your candy canes to Mike. He's going to need them. And it's also Boxing Day, which we don't really celebrate here.
It's more of a Canada thing.
It's a Commonwealth country thing. But it is, it's recognized throughout the world. So
yeah.
Do they like get into an arena and box?
No. This has to do with giving gifts.
Right.
It's the original tradition was well-to-do people would kind of give their cast-off gifts to the servants in the underclass the day after Christmas. But it's kind of become a more it's almost like a big shopping day and kind of a fun just kind of come down off of Christmas Day.
I think it's a pretty big deal in Canada.
It is for sure. It is
that it's a holiday and so we just don't.
No, I mean it is a good shopping day. You can get some really good bargains on the 26th.
Oh yeah. I remember my mom and some others would go out the day afterwards to just do bargain shopping like crazy.
Yeah, well, it's also my anniversary with my handsome beau.
Oh,
our
there
very
you
first
go.
date was December 26th.
The day after. That's an unusual time for a first date.
I know.
Wow. Okay. Do you remember where you went?
Yeah.
Where'd you go?
We went to the Fox and the Hound in Chesterfield Valley, which is no longer there.
Yeah. No, I remember that place. That was a good place.
Yeah, well, it worked. We're still
Memories.
together.
Yeah, there you go. After how many years?
Coming up on 13.
Wow.
The Herzog Foundation is the vision of its founder, Stanley Herzog, and it exists to promote quality Christ-centered K-12 education nationwide.
Hi, this is Chris Stegall with the Herzog Foundation. We offer a wide variety of resources relevant to today's families, including a free online publication called The Lion. The lion is one of God's most majestic creatures, symbolizing strength and courage. Named for its attributes, the Lion publication carries articles covering a wide range of topics facing American families and culture, especially related to the education of children. The Lion can be found online at readlion.com. That's READ lion.com.
Sign up for The Lion at readlion.com and find dozens of must-read articles published every day. Visit readlion.com and subscribe for the weekly and daily digests so you never miss an article. Readlion.com. That's readlion.com.
Hey, it's Susie Moore. If new flooring makes you think hassle, think again, because Michael's Flooring is changing the game. For over 30 years, Michael's has been locally owned and trusted for quality, variety, and amazing service. Whether it's carpet, hardwood, laminate, luxury vinyl, or ceramic tile, their expert team makes installing new floors exciting, not stressful. That's why customers keep coming back. Visit Michael's Flooring at St. Peter's, Starting Prairie, Creve Coeur, or online at igotfloored.com. That's igotfloored.com.
Because truth matters.
Let's speak that truth.
Because understanding matters.
Let's break this down.
With all that's happening,
And it's happening a lot faster.
what matters most is,
The only question that matters here.
are you informed?
Important issues that are facing this country.
Depend on us.
The latest events.
The information you need
Here are the facts.
when you need it.
We always have great conversations.
You guys have a great radio station.
1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL. KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1 and always streaming at newstalkstl.com.
Breaking news this hour from Town Hall. I'm Rich Thomason. Going somewhere this week? A lot of us are. AAA estimates 122 million Americans will travel between this past Saturday and New Year's Day. That's nearly 3 million more than the record set a year ago. AAA Travel Vice President Stacy Barber says people have a desire to travel, whether it's returning to their hometowns or going to new destinations. AAA expects about 110 million people to travel by car, with another 8 million taking domestic flights. The number of people taking flights would also set a record, despite domestic round-trip flights costing an average of 7% more this year than last year. I'm Mike Hempen. Enforcing President Trump's blockade, the U.S. Coast Guard shadowing another oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela. The president is appointing Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry to serve as the U.S. Special Envoy to Greenland, the vast semi-autonomous territory of Denmark that Mr. Trump says is crucial to U.S. national security. And the president is recalling more than 24 career ambassadors and other diplomats.
The chiefs of mission in at least 29 countries have been informed that their tenures would end in January. All of them had taken up their posts in the Biden administration, but had survived an initial purge in the early months of Donald Trump's second term that targeted many political appointees. 2 State Department officials said those affected by the shakeup are not losing their Foreign Service jobs, but will be returning to Washington for other assignments. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Turning Point USA's Erica Kirk endorsing Vice President Vance as a potential successor to President Trump when Mr. Trump's current term in office comes to an end. Watching Wall Street ahead of this morning's opening bell, the Dow futures up 36 points, NASDAQ futures 166 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Christmas holiday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Christmas holiday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Charlie Kirk believed courage and conviction still matter. He wanted every Christian to stand firm in their faith, no matter the cost. That's why the Voice of the Martyrs is offering you a free copy of Extreme Devotion. Inside are true stories of Christians in places like China, Iran, and Nigeria who refused to deny Jesus Christ, even in the face of imprisonment or death. Charlie's passion was to see that kind of faith in all of us. Get your free copy today at vom.org/Charlie. That's vom.org/Charlie.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotcha with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Streaming TV is where it's at. It's not about cutting the cord anymore. That's old news. It's all about your customized TV options. With the best and cheapest high-speed internet and your own TV subscriptions, we've got your dream TV lineup. Between wired and satellite internet and TV, you now have tons of options. Save money and get more internet speed and better TV today by calling the Whole Home Connect. We scan your location and offer you the best TV and internet options. And we always have specials and promotions. So when you call, ask about that. Take 5 minutes of your time. Make this free call now and learn how to save money and get better internet and TV for your home anywhere in the U.S. Make this simple and free call now.
800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. 800-257-1632. That's 800-257-1632.
Mike Ferguson.
Merry Christmas, you filthy animals.
Susie Moore.
Christmas isn't just a day, it's a frame of mind.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
Now I have a machine gun. Ho, ho, ho.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL. Get up! Get up! This is your cousin.
All right, about those Epstein files.
Yeah, what about it, Mike?
Where are the rest of those?
Well, why are there so many blacked out pages?
Man, that's a lot of toner going to be used if you print those things out. All right. Also, America Fest had a little bit of everything, including some infighting on the right. But here's a weird question. Is that infighting actually needed right now?
I don't think this is the time to be fighting, to be honest.
Yeah, there's a lot of different perspectives because at some point, some are saying, whoa, we're going way off the rails. We don't stand for anything. And I think there's a fair point on that. So interesting. I want to get into that in a little bit here. And the Redbirds trade away another big name off that lineup. Interesting stuff here. 8:05 right now. Let's go ahead and dump some news on you.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The morning news dump.
Sam Page will still face a criminal trial. Yes, on Friday, a judge in Springfield denied his motion to dismiss the case. Page, as I'm sure everybody remembers, was indicted by a grand jury after using taxpayer money to campaign against a ballot proposition. The trial is in Greene County because all the lawyers basically agreed you can't try the county executive in the county where he's at. Everybody knows who he is and everybody has an opinion on him, so they moved it to Southwest Missouri. That trial is scheduled for March 23rd. Sam Page is not running for re-election as St. Louis County executive, so regardless of how the trial turns out, at least we've got some good news in St. Louis County.
Yeah.
At least there's that. Okay, Justice Department is defending its handling of the kind of, sort of, little bit of a release of the Jeffrey Epstein
save
files.
someone's life possibly one day also.
Is that my...
That is you.
Autoplay. Darn you, autoplay.
Russ says he's also thankful for his newfound friendship.
There it is. Autoplay. Sorry about that. All right. Here is the story about the Epstein file sort of rollout.
The DOJ was required to release all the files by last Friday, but Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche defends the decision to release just a fraction of them. He told NBC's Meet the Press that his department was obligated to act with caution and eventually will release all of the thousands of documents. But Democrats and other critics are not satisfied, accusing the Trump administration of trying to hide information. Greg Clugston, Washington.
And I want to point out, it's not just Democrats. This isn't a Democrat versus Republican thing. There are a lot of Republicans who are frustrated with this as well. And it's one thing, as Susie was pointing out, to say you've got hundreds of thousands of pages and there may be just logistical. Okay. But that wasn't communicated early. The fact of the matter is that by the letter of the law that was passed, the Department of Justice is in violation of it.
Oh, absolutely.
And there's no question. So we'll see what happens from here. And the short answer is I don't know. The only thing I do know is that probably nobody's going to be held accountable for it.
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, this whole thing, I've been saying it for a while. I mean, we've known for a while that the redactions were coming for certain individuals. People keep saying, well, why didn't Biden do anything about it? Well, because a lot of those people were under Biden's, side as well. But the fact of the matter is right now the responsibility falls on the current administration who has the unredacted files and is currently redacting them. And that doesn't sit right with me.
The Trump administration could have fixed this.
They could
because
have.
the Biden administration was hideous on this. And the Trump administration could have fixed this. They can at least get caught up and do something. And I hope that they will on this. But this isn't a Republican versus Democrat thing.
No, and that's why I appreciated when Congressman Dr. Bob Onder was on with us, which you can hear in the podcast when that gets uploaded later. But even he said we should have just President Trump should have just pulled the Band-Aid off and let the dice fall where they may and go from there. And right now, I think the administration altogether has lost so much credibility. It's going to be very difficult to see how this primary goes.
Yeah. All right. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission Chair Andrea Lucas making some waves. She posted a video to social media last week encouraging white men to file workplace discrimination claims. So that's on Fox's The Big Weekend Show. Lucas says the commission has also been making progress on cases where workers were let go due to their refusal to get the COVID-19 vaccination during the Biden years.
The DOJ was
crap. I am like over on this one, for crying out loud. My goodness. All right. Let me click here. Here's Andrea Lucas. Good Lord.
We are bringing lots of lawsuits. We've recovered multi-million-dollar verdicts and settlements in the last few months related to COVID-19 vaccine mandates.
All right. Once again, that was from Fox's The Big Weekend Show. Now, remember in 2022, the Supreme Court blocked an OSHA vaccine mandate, but that only dealt with businesses that essentially were working contractors or something with the federal government. Many Americans filed complaints on religious grounds, and some of those were truly religious grounds. Others are saying, oh, here's a loophole. The bottom line is you shouldn't have to be forced to put a chemical in your body if you don't want it. Even
if it so happened to turn out that it could have been beneficial, that should still be your personal choice, what you put inside of your own body. Plain and simple.
Yep. So we'll see where this goes. It just seems like an odd sell. Hey, white men, complain about your oppression and discrimination. It just seems like a tough sell for a lot of people.
It is. You have no idea how hard it is to be a straight white man in America these days, Mike. I'm just saying.
Well, okay. All right. The family of Ferguson police officer Travis Brown is thanking the St. Louis community. All right. On Saturday, Ferguson police delivered the gifts for his daughters that were collected through the TJ tree. We were telling you about that over the last couple of weeks. Officer Brown continues to recover from a traumatic brain injury caused by a pro-Michael Brown protester during a violent protest earlier this year.
It's just, it still just boils my blood to think about. This was the entire issue that was being brought up by these types of protesters is bad policing, police discrimination. Well, you have an instance of a good cop. The cops were clearly trying to allow space for the protesters to be able to do their nonsense, and yet they still took it upon themselves. A protester took it upon themselves to violate all of that goodwill and then to permanently alter the trajectory of a man's life and his family.
Yeah, and this was on the 10-year mark of Michael Brown getting himself killed by attacking a police officer. So
I guess it's fitting, but that's still disgusting.
It's just gross. Yep. All right. Vice President Vance, among those speaking at Turning Point USA's America Fest in Phoenix. Speaking to reporters, the vice president gave some reflections on his relationship with Charlie Kirk.
I miss his optimism. I miss his energy. I miss the phone calls where we'd strategize about how to get this or that GOP congressman to get off their ass and do something. But most of all, I miss Charlie's wisdom.
And that was a 4-day event. And I think maybe around 850, because I put together a collection of some of the speeches that really got people debating and kind of fired up on that. And it was kind of interesting to kind of go through those and listen to those. So I think we'll do that just a little bit here.
Yeah.
All right. Gas prices in the U.S. Dropped again over the last 4 weeks. Industry analyst Trilby Lundberg of the Lundberg survey says at least part of that price decrease is due to weaker demand.
We've had a pump price drop of 9 cents per gallon in the past 2 weeks. This is on top of another drop before that in the prior 2 weeks. The new price of $2.99 per gallon for regular is 17 cents lower than a month ago.
And the current price of gas around the country on average 13 cents lower than it was a year ago. I didn't even check to see when I drove in today where it was around here, but
well, right up the road that way. I know it's about $2.79 give or take, which is still a little bit better than it was earlier this year.
I saw it was cheaper than that last week.
Well, it was, but then they've been going back up. So that's why it's I don't know where the disconnect is, because I hear the price is going down, but then it's like it seems like whatever day you get there determines the price. So
true. Yeah. Okay, according to one of America's biggest insurance companies, tomorrow, the 23rd, is the most dangerous day of the year to be on the roads.
Oh,
yeah. The report by Nationwide says that is because there are more drivers driving than any other day on the roads, and that means more distracted drivers. I am seeing a lot. When they passed the new law and stuff, I noticed there was a big decrease in what I saw as far as people staring at their phones. Now I'm seeing people staring at their phones constantly in traffic.
I was actually almost hit the other day by somebody that was, it looked to me like they were putting their makeup on and watching a tutorial on how to put makeup on while they were driving. And I'm like, that has nothing to do with the holidays. You're just an idiot.
I've seen that. I have seen it more and more recently. So I think people have like, oh, well, I'm all right. And so they're saying this is the most dangerous day. Report also made a list of states with the nicest and the meanest drivers around the country.
Ooh.
Missouri, according to the list, has the 8th nicest drivers, and Illinois has the 10th meanest drivers.
I can vouch for that for Illinois for sure. I'm surprised it's actually not even meaner than that.
Yeah, well, it was like New York is up there.
Oh,
yeah,
of course.
So yeah,
I've heard horror stories.
Okay, Blues are on the road tonight. They play in the NHL's early game, taking on the Lightning. That's going to happen in Florida. Puck drops at 6:00. By the way, guys, the Blues are just one game under 500 now. They have won 3 of their last 5 games.
Very nice.
So they're actually kind of making a little bit of a run right now as we get into the end of the year. And Wilson Contreras is no longer a Cardinal.
Oh,
yeah. The Cardinals have traded him to the Red Sox, and in exchange for Wilson Contreras and some money, they're getting 3 right-handed pitchers, including one of Boston's top 25 prospects.
I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away. Get up, get up.
Mike Ferguson in the morning
I just want to say to the men of this country, just shut up and step up.
on News Talk STL.
What are you waiting for? Get up, get up, get up.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger. As Christmas approaches, I want to encourage you to support Missouri businesses this holiday season. When you're out shopping for the perfect gift, please stop by a local store and choose something made right here in the Show Me State. Missouri businesses are the backbone of our communities, and supporting them is a priority for me. To find Missouri-made goods and retailers near you, please visit buymissouri.net. Merry Christmas, and please remember to buy Missouri.
Paid for by the Office of Lieutenant Governor David Wassinger.
Well, what is it?
Well, it's a radio. It was indeed a radio. The entire neighborhood was turned on. The news, analysis, and opinion poured over me like a warm glass of Ovaltine.
We triple dog dare you to have a Merry Christmas. From Ruthie's Family Restaurant, Williams Brothers Meats, Gulf Shores Restaurant, Food Truck and Catering, and News Talk STL.
What was that? My radio!
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my good friend Harry Parker and the ultimate seafood dining experience at Gulf Shores, GulfShoresRestaurantandGrill.com. Gulf Shores offering a unique dining experience with a vast, mouth-watering menu of all of your favorite delicious dishes, something for everyone's taste or palate. 3 convenient locations, Edwardville, Creve Coeur, and St. Peter's. Dine in, carry out. They've got a food truck, too. Friendly staff looking forward to seeing you, making your dining experience one that you will remember. Gulf Shores RestaurantandGrill.com.
News Talk STL.
First thing in the morning and pretty much all day.
Live and local. 1019 and 94.1. News Talk STL.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so interesting chain of events that's happening in Kansas here in just over 6 hours. And you may ask the question, why do I care what's happening in Kansas? Well, because it's in all likelihood going to have an effect on Missouri. So Kansas's governor, name is Laura Kelly, has put out an announcement that they're holding a press conference with a big announcement, 3:00 today. They're going to do this in, I believe it's going to be Johnson County, Kansas, which is just on the other side of the state line there. Economic development people are going to be there. And some of the media, including a friend of mine, Pete Mundo, who does the morning show in Kansas City, he and others are reporting that this is directly related to the Chiefs and or the Royals.
Ooh.
Right. Because there's been this bidding war for the two teams, which is what led to that special session where the Missouri legislature and the governor handed out, basically offering, because if the Chiefs and the Royals don't take it and they move, then they don't get it. But we've offered hundreds of millions, really over $1 billion in corporate welfare for the billionaires who own these two professional sports teams, for their stadiums and whatnot. So Kansas is basically offering underwriting 70% of the new stadiums. 70%. They have a program there called Star Bonds that they're doing that. So the governor's office is being very tight-lipped over there in Topeka. But the report is that it's going to be some kind of announcement regarding at least the Chiefs, maybe the Chiefs and the Royals. And Kansas City's mayor has announced that he might have a press conference to react to that an hour later, so 4:00. And so I don't know if that means they're announcing the Chiefs or the Royals are leaving and going to Kansas, and Missouri loses another 1 or 2 professional sports team. I think our state's actually lost more pro sports, major league sports teams than I think any other state.
Huh.
Actually, I mean, when you think about all the teams that have been and gone over the last 150 years, Missouri is one of, if not lost more than any other.
Do they still do Guinness Books of World Records?
It might be.
It might be. Record for us to...
Somebody start looking that up and see which state has lost the most major teams. So here's then the question, because when that special session was called, Many Republicans, most of the Freedom Caucus, actually all the current Freedom Caucus, because the Freedom Caucus members who got on board with the corporate welfare, they ain't the Freedom Caucus anymore.
Yeah.
And so it was a big corporate welfare handout. I completely understand the politicians don't want to be the ones who are, it's on their watch that they lose a professional sports team, much less two.
Mhm.
I get that. I get that. It's just horrible public policy. Economically, it's been the cronyism for this type of thing has been debunked time and time and time and time again. The Heartland Institute did that major study 10, 12, 15 years ago, and nobody has disproved what they've done since then. Nobody has empirically said, no, these subsidies and taxpayer money for these sports teams. Now, what a great investment. Now there are things that you can see and you say, look, if it weren't for the sports team, this restaurant wouldn't be right here, or that district wouldn't be right here. You can see that. But then when you balance it with what that competes with and destroys at taxpayer expense, it just doesn't hold up.
And the very interesting thing, at least for me, is when we were accepting, we had people calling in, including people that were on the Kansas side of things. And unanimously, everybody at the citizen level was like, if that's how they feel about us, you want to leave us.
Yeah.
See you later, alligators. And on the Kansas side, they're like, well, no, we don't need you coming over here. We have our own stuff going on.
Well,
So-
yeah. And that's the thing is in the Kansas City area, the way that the Kansas City area and the way that obviously our area looks at it are two completely different things, as you would expect. If there are a lot of conservatives, Republicans who are like, no, this is about our economy. This is about our identity. This is about our community, and I understand the arguments. I really do. But there's no reason for everybody to be funding this. And that's what happens is the taxpayers are the ones writing the bills or funding the bills for this. And it's just a handout to those who could afford to build their own ballpark. And that's really what it comes down to, is that the states then got into a competition who's going to give away the most. And it was disappointing that Missouri's lawmakers, basically said, here's the handout, here's the cronyism, here's the corporate welfare that we're going to give you. So if Kansas ends up winning and offering them more, and the teams move over there, then I'll be really honest. I know that is a punch in the gut to Kansas City. And there's a lot of Chiefs fans all throughout the state, including here in St. Louis. I truly get that. Economically, it's not going to be the blow that you think it is. And secondly, if the teams think that lowly of the community that supported them for generations, bye. See ya. I'm fine with that. And I used to live 20 minutes from those stadiums.
I mean, there are going to probably be quite a few Swifties that are disappointed. But I mean, they'll eventually get over it, right? Or they'll move.
I would think so.
But yeah, that's still going to be a scarlet letter to some regards for the representatives that went along with that, because it wasn't as though we were all going to get free season passes if they stay and we fund it. We were going to be funding the bill and then still paying the revenue for the people that, like you mentioned, could afford to do it on their own terms. Right. And if it was really, if it was a public safety thing where we need to renovate the area around there or something for public safety, still not great that we didn't get a voice on there, because it was snuck in just already a bill that was already set to pass without it.
Well, and then they tied a bunch of other tax reform to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that is likely to get, the tax reform part is likely to get tossed by the courts.
Yeah.
Even the most conservative, in one case, libertarian constitutionalist attorney I talked to, Dave Rowland, he said on this show right here, he said, not only should somebody challenge this, or could they challenge it? They should, because it says, if you live here, you get this kind of tax relief. If you live here, you get this kind of tax relief. Oh, you live in St. Louis County, you get nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's on its face unconstitutional by the Missouri Constitution, because it treats Missourians differently based on where you live. So this entire special session was a complete and utter mess. And there was a big fight over giving these billionaires taxpayer money to bribe them into staying where they are and staying in the community that has supported them and made them immensely profitable over, since 1969 for the Royals, and the Chiefs came in sometime in the 60s as well. They were the Texans before that.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came to here. So there's, I haven't been to Arrowhead Stadium in years, Kauffman Stadium is actually a pretty stadium. It's actually a fun place to see a ball game. They've done a nice job, but you know what they don't have in those stadiums? Even if they were promised everything to rebuild and renovate and all of that, because of the topography right there off I-70, it's a very hilly, wooded area.
Ooh.
You could not, under any circumstances, it's physically impossible to build like a ballpark village there. You can't do it. Physically, you cannot do it. And that's one of the reasons that tailgating became such a huge Kansas City thing. And people love tailgating out there. But when you're tailgating, you're not buying money, or you're not buying stuff, and you're not spending money from the bar, from the restaurant, from all of that. And so that, I think, is why, the Chiefs have looked and the Royals have looked at what's happening in St. Louis here with the downtown ballpark, or they've looked at what's happened in Denver with their downtown ballpark. They look at what's in Atlanta in their downtown ballpark. They look at Wrigleyville, in Chicago, and they say, ooh, we want that. Because then we can have all that property around, probably subsidized by taxpayers, and make a crap ton of money on the process. So the gravy train of the corporate welfare just continues and continues and continues. So the quote unquote winner in this case may end up actually being the loser. So there's going to be a lot of wailing, a lot of gnashing of the teeth if there's an announcement that one or both of those teams is leaving. And I don't know that that's going to be the case today, but if that's what happens, there's going to a lot of people saying, "Ooh, Kansas won." I'm over here 4 hours away saying, "No, if anything, we won."
Yeah.
Well,
so realistically, what would be the best case scenario? Because I know one of the big things that Governor Kehoe has been pushing for, and as well as other representatives and members of our legislature have been pushing for, is that 2026, they would really want to figure out how they can either reduce or eliminate certain taxes. And it doesn't seem like if we're going to be using tax funds to renovate a $1 billion stadium, that we're going to be able to fund that without taxes of some sort. So is it more or less likely then if these teams decide to skedaddle to the Kansas side or wherever else, maybe if they did some kind of back alley deal with another state, even, would that maybe get us closer to where we want to be? And maybe that's the sign of why we're talking more about that? Or is the revenue that could potentially be lost for the state if the teams leave, would that be greater than the amount that we would be able to generate just on our own? I mean,
that's where you go back to that, like the Heartland and all those other studies that say, no, it at the best case scenario is you break even.
Okay.
And usually that's not the case.
Because when the Rams left, we got that settlement money, but it didn't seem like we went into such massive disarray. I mean, that was Democrat policies that did that, but it didn't seem like the state is suddenly like way worse off, because what the studies we've explored, we've talked to economicists about, is that people are just finding other avenues to spend their money.
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking up because I mentioned that which teams have left St. Louis major league teams. And there are so many of them. And who was it that just posted? And let's see here. St. Louis has lost at least an NBA or a pro team. Baseball. It's actually lost more than one baseball team. St. Louis, then Missouri itself, and 2 football teams. There are more than that. That's just St. Louis. That's not even all of Missouri here as well. Because, the St. Louis Browns became the Baltimore Orioles.
Oh,
yep. And obviously we have lost the St. Louis Cardinals, now the Arizona Cardinals, and then the Rams went back to LA. And then you've also got, remember the A's. What are the Oakland A's? Now they're playing in just outside Oakland there, wherever they are. And they're about to move to Las Vegas. They were the Kansas City A's after being the Philadelphia A's.
So they're basically Globetrotters at this
They
point.
are basically Globetrotters out there. But like, for instance, let's see here, the St. Louis Browns, Kansas City Athletics, the St. Louis Hawks. I forgot about the St. Louis Hawks, who are now the Atlanta Hawks. Let's see here. And then there's a couple teams. Oh, yeah, I forgot the Kansas City Kings. Then went on to become the Sacramento Kings.
Wow.
Yeah, I forgot that they were in Kansas City as well. So 2, and the 2 NFL teams. Let's see here. The Kansas City Scouts for the NHL. According to MissouriLegends.com, they were the original name Man, I don't think they turned into another one. So, and then of course some soccer teams and things like that, but nobody pays attention to them. So yeah, a lot of sports teams that we lost.
And it doesn't seem like we're really all that much worse off. If they want to leave, then we'll just find another
Yeah.
team to import, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, you don't when your sports team leaves and you're like, what am I going to do to this? $300 I was going to spend at the game. I guess I'll set it on fire. No, you spend it on something else. If that's your entertainment discretionary money, you spend it on something else.
So while we're waiting for that press conference at 3:00 to figure out what's actually going on with these teams, I want to know, where are the rest of the Epstein files and why does it matter? So we're going to talk about that, the good, the bad, the ugly of America Fest with Free Markets Matt Kibbe at 8:20. So stay tuned.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Always be yourself unless you suck.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Gotch with your first alert forecast. We're going to be tracking temperatures back towards the mid-50s this afternoon. Partly cloudy skies, warming throughout the rest of the week. By Christmas Eve, looking at 69 degrees. Thursday for Christmas Day, 75, partly cloudy. Could be potentially breaking a long-held record held since 1889. Now, as we head off into Friday, we'll look at 68 degrees, mostly sunny, then a little bit cooler into the upcoming weekend ahead. The first alert for Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Fox News commentary with Guy Benson. Next.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. This Christmas holiday, enjoy exclusive savings on our high-quality rechargeable hearing aids. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and shop Christmas holiday deals before they're gone at audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Here's Guy Benson.
What happened in Sydney, in Australia, everything about that terrorist attack is rooted in religion. As I said, Jews were targeted for being Jews, for celebrating a Jewish festival and a Jewish holiday. That's why they were chosen. It was an anti-Semitic attack, as they're willing to concede that point. And the people who did it were doing so inspired by, in the name of the Islamic State. That's the name of the terrorist organization. I'm not here to say that all Muslims are like that or would endorse anything like this or would pledge fealty to the Islamic State or ISIS. That's not the point. The point is, in the view of these guys, and unfortunately a distressing number of Muslims around the world, that form of Islam is what they practice.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Connor Roofing. You can count on Connor. Connor Roofing is now a 2-time winner of the National Best of the Best Award for customer satisfaction for roofing, storm damage restoration, siding, gutters, both residential and commercial. Please visit ConnorRoofing.com for an estimate. And remember, you can count on Connor.
It's more than a rebellion. When your teen is slipping into drugs or alcohol, when social media and pornography consume their time and their mind, when depression and even suicidal thoughts cast a shadow over your home, as a parent, you feel powerless. There is hope. At Turnabout Ranch, troubled teens step away from the chaos and into a clarity of nature on a working cattle ranch. Care for horses, learn responsibility, build trust, and rediscover purpose. It isn't theory, it's real work, real therapy, real healing. Families from across the country have found transformation right here, just when they thought hope was gone. If your teen is struggling with addiction, harmful online behaviors, even weight management, call right now and get the help you all need.
800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. 800-219-2494. That's 800-219-2494.
What's the best way to get rid of a timeshare that you don't want? Call the Timeshare Exit Hotline. We're a group of attorneys that help customers legally exit their timeshares. It's an easy process. We guarantee results or you pay nothing. Exit your timeshare today. Call now.
800-524-1641. 800-524-1641. That's 800-524-1641.
News, analysis, opinion.
Don't always agree, but in love listening to your radio station. This is tyrannical stuff they're doing.
Elections have consequences. This is 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. When you've got something to say, be heard loud and clear.
If they'll just do what they were voted in to do.
This party needs to get a backbone. They need to get some spine.
Join the conversation. St. Louis's place to talk.
The Democrats and the Republicans can give us all the lip service they want, but what they need to do is take action today.
1019 and 94.1.
You have to take a stand sometimes.
This is News Talk STL. News, analysis, and opinion.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
All right, where are the rest of the files? Let's talk about that. But let's also talk about why the Epstein case should not be just a partisan thing. And then as time allows, I thought there was just an interesting development when you looked at this Turning Point USA America Fest that happened over the weekend. Some would call it infighting. Others would look at it, and I'm really sympathetic to this view. Others would look at it and say, but wait a minute, at some point, do you reassess where the conservative or where the freedom movement is and say, we need to be principled based on this? And so what are those principles, and are those being threatened, and are we threatened to be derailed from the things we're supposed to accomplish? I think those are actually fair questions. We're now joined by Matt Kibbe from freethepeople.org. And if you haven't seen the Kibbe on Liberty podcast or checked out his TV show, you really ought to do it. Matt, appreciate you being on the program here. Good to chat with you again. So let me ask you, starting about the Epstein stuff, the salaciousness aside, and everybody's got the dueling pictures out there. Somebody just put a picture of Bill Clinton in a hot tub, and I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to sleep tonight now after seeing that. But a lot of people are trying to make this into a Democrat versus Republican thing, and I think that there's a lot of people who are losing sight of this. Isn't about partisan gain right now. There's a bigger picture here.
I have to ask, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm technology challenged, so sometimes I screw that up. I don't think it's Democrats or Republicans. I think it's about the deep state versus the American people, the insiders versus the rest of us that want to know that governance is actually controlled by us and not the elites that seem to game the process against the rest of us. And that was always Thomas Massey's point. Donald Trump has been running on releasing the Epstein files for almost a decade now. And I think ultimately there's two issues. How do we, as best we can, make the victims whole and get justice for them? But how do we also know that our intelligence community, maybe foreign intelligence communities, are not using some sort of honeypot scheme to control politicians and other elites and force them to do what they want to do instead of what their constitutional responsibilities are?
Yeah, and we've got so there's a bigger issue of the trust in government, because basically we're being told right now, Matt, well, it's a logistical nightmare. We've got hundreds of thousands of pages and documents. Obviously, we have to account for national security. We have to account for not basically outing the victims on this. So here's hundreds of pages of blackout. And so, Todd Blanche and some of the others are saying, well, it's just logistical. We'll get them out as soon as we can. It's just a lot of work to do. And in the meantime, we're being told, well, just trust us. We'll get to it, when we've got years and years and years of being given reasons to not trust them, regardless of the party or the president.
Of course, many of these FBI files go all the way back to the 1990s. So I feel like they've had time to prepare for this. And certainly Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna have been working on this for quite some time. So all of that's a little bit ridiculous. And the good news is today, after Massie and Khanna said that they were going to use inherent contempt to hold Pam Bondi accountable, apparently the Justice Department is unredacting some of the redacted information that they started to release. So there's something happening, but clearly not enough. And it's kind of mysterious why the Trump administration is fighting so hard not to release these files that they always said they were going to release anyway.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, it's a terrible look. And let's take the worst case scenario. It compromises relationships with, massive economic situations, or maybe other countries or something like that. And somebody may say, well, what happened to the victims is awful, but we do really have much bigger picture. And at some point, the core of the issue is going to be, can we trust those who were elected to serve and elected to lead? And if we can't trust them to tell us the truth, and if we are going to cover up and be in violation of this law, in order to protect a quote unquote bigger picture, then what kind of foundation do we have for a republic? What kind of foundation do we have for a constitutional form of government to start with?
Yeah, like if you're a libertarian, if you're MAGA, if you're a progressive who wants to believe that we live under a constitutional republic and that there's democratic accountability for the elites, either in politics or just moneyed interests, we have to solve this problem. Because right now, it looks like they're in charge, not us.
We're visiting with Matt Kibbe from freethepeople.org, and you can check him out, Kibbe on Liberty, which, by the way, long-form discussion with Thomas Massie. That was just last week, wasn't it, Matt?
Yeah. We've had a number of conversations with Thomas, and I like the format because instead of being on Fox News, Thomas actually gets to talk about deep dive on what he's thinking about.
Yeah, that was really a fascinating discussion, and we'll tell people how to find that here in just a couple of minutes, Matt. Let me shift gears just a little bit. I thought the developments at Turning Point USA, the America Fest, were interesting in that, obviously you've got the sort of influencer slap fight that was happening, but I think there was a bigger picture on that. While some people were saying we shouldn't be, canceling anybody that's anti-Charlie Kirk and against whatever he stood for, at some point, though, doesn't any movement, a conservative movement, a freedom movement, doesn't it have a responsibility to say, these are our core principles, and if we have to guard those against people who would destroy those, then we need to step in, call it what you want. What do you make of these sort of Team Shapiro and maybe Team Vivek versus the Team Tuckers and all of that? Because I think some people want to make it into a cartoonish sort of slap fight, but I think it was an interesting question that was raised through the whole thing.
Yeah, obviously, Charlie was unique in the sense that he was able to hold these different factions of this coalition together. I do think there should be core principles, but I also think we're in the midst of a paradigm shift, a political realignment that is going to look like the best elements of what President Trump put together in his reelection campaign. So there's America First. There's the libertarian factions that came along. There's the tech bros. There's Maha, civil libertarians. That, to me, is an interesting emerging political coalition. And I think J.D. Vance would love to tap into that. Against all of that is some of the old Republican interests, particularly the neoconservatives. And in a lot of ways, the fight over Israel is not really about Israel. It's about whether or not the United States should be involved in every conflict internationally. And that's, of course, what the neocons would like. But this emerging coalition is no longer interested in that. And it's not so much ideological. Maybe it's practical. Maybe we can't afford to do it.
doesn't that get muddled up when you've got the Fuenteses of the worlds and the, Tucker Carlson and ableists of the world and the God forbid Candace Owens and whatever she's doing. And so some of that, there is a clear anti-Semitism that's tentacled its way into that discussion, and it muddies that. I mean, even Vivek Ramaswamy, at one point he said, it's fair if you want to debate the foreign aid, that's fine, but we got to draw the line at some of the stuff that's getting into the movement.
Yeah, that's what we should be arguing about, right now. And but I really think that can be dealt with in a decentralized way, and that's why there's so much fighting. All those guys are fighting to have Charlie Kirk's crown, if you will, as the guy that sort of modulated all of these different factions. But everything's decentralized now, and the president's not going to decide, and the speaker's not going to decide. We have to fight that out, and yes, call out real anti-Semitism, call out real racism, but the left has used those words so much that they've sort of lost some of their meaning, and we have to reclaim that for ourselves.
What's the right way to approach all of that and call out the people that you don't want involved while still welcoming a big tent? I mean, can the tent be too big in a movement?
Well, it can, but as a libertarian, if I only included other pure libertarians in my coalition, it'd be a pretty lonely place to be. And I think Tucker had something right when he wanted to speak to Fuentes' audience. Forget Nick Fuentes for a minute. Why are so many young people attracted to him? I don't think it's because they're racists. I don't think it's because they're anti-Semites. I think he's tapping into some real anxiety that young men in particular have about the American economy. And I would speak to Nick Fuentes' audience the same way that I might speak to Bernie Sanders' audience. Hey, I understand your anxiety, but let me tell you something. Collective guilt and blaming someone based on their ethnicity or religion or the color of their skin is what the left does. That's not us. We judge people based on their individualism. And I think that's a conversation worth having.
Yeah, and Carlson just failed on that. He essentially platformed and promoted it, and I think it's a valid criticism of what he did. I mean, I got a lot of issues with the direction Tucker Carlson's going, but Fuentes just being essentially he is a neo-Nazi, want to be an apologist. I mean, that's the kind of thing somebody says, well, there's got to be a line somewhere, right?
Of course. Yeah. And ultimately, I think the libertarian ethos is going to decide who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. And it's quite simple. You can be part of our coalition as long as you don't want to hurt people or take their stuff, and judge people based on their individual character, not the color of their skin. A little bit of MLK in there.
All right, Matt Kibbe from Kibbe on Liberty. And we've already tagged you on social media, Matt. I really appreciate you being on the program here. So people can follow you at the social media we've tagged you on, but where do they find Kibbe on Liberty?
Kibbe on Liberty is on Blaze TV. It's also at freethepeople.org.
Matt, good to talk to you again. Thanks so much. Have a great Christmas, great holiday season.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. Got some thoughts on that? 314-912-1019. Also, I've got a collection of some of the clips of the speeches from America Fest that got the biggest reactions. So I think, and it's a couple minutes long here, but I'm going to go ahead and play that and you can react to that as well here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On News Talk STL.
This is the story of the one. As a custodial supervisor at a high school, he knows that during cold and flu season, germs spread fast. It's why he partners with Grainger to stay fully stocked on the products and supplies he needs, from tissues to disinfectants to floor scrubbers. All so that he can help students, staff, and teachers stay healthy and focused. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Hey, how you doing? Santa Vic here.
And Santa's head Vic head here.
And you can win some great prizes with News Talk STL's St. Louis Conservative Christmas.
You forgot the ho-ho-ho. You forgot the ho-ho-ho.
Oh!
No, ho-ho.
Oh!
Log on to NewsTalkSTL.com for your chance to win great prizes from Havana 1961 Restaurant, Trolley Stop Bakery, and Whistle Pig Outdoors. NewsTalkSTL.com.
Oh!
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Hey, Ken.
Yeah, Vic.
Do you know if Nils Gravilius has, his eye on me? Is he investigating me?
Could be.
I think he is.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, we'll find out. Monday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
All right, the podcast of all of our discussions is going to be up at News Talk STL's podcast. You can subscribe directly to Mike Ferguson in the morning and check that out with Matt Kibbe right there. You haven't seen the show.
No, but I'm definitely gonna have to check it out.
I think you'll definitely like that. Actually, my wife's actually been on the show.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
when the book came out a while back. So it's a great set, great show. Matt, obviously, Matt and I agree on most things, not everything, but he's a really, really thoughtful guy. If you haven't followed Matt Kibbe, I hope that you do, so you can check him out. Social media, we've already tagged him. Okay, so this America Fest thing was, I think, really interesting. So one of the things that, as I was checking in and out of it, because I don't spend my weekends sitting there watching news, and trust me, this coming weekend, I will be doing none of that. Everything could go crazy. I'm probably not going to know about it on purpose, but I was checking in and seeing the reactions to some of the speeches. And so I went and listened to a number of them, and then I grabbed some of the more controversial, more provocative parts of those speeches. And I just kind of put them together. So I'm not claiming that this is representative of everything that happened at America Fest, but these were among the clips that people reacted to the most, at least online. So let me kind of go through these, and they kind of go just from one to the other. There are several ones here. Here's a kind of the vibe that was on that stage.
If you believe in normalizing hatred towards any ethnic group, toward whites, towards blacks, towards Hispanics, towards Jews, towards Indians, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement. Period. And I will not apologize for that. I will not hedge when I say it. If you believe, and you will forgive me for giving you an exact quote from our online commentator Nick Fuentes, if you believe that Hitler was pretty cool, you have no place in the future of the conservative movement.
Women, you have been lied to for decades through propaganda. To be very, very clear, transgenderism, sexual liberation, and abortion have nothing to do with women's rights. Calling these movements feminism is not only inaccurate, but it's dangerous, it's destructive.
I just heard that Candace Owen has proof that the Venezuelan boats were blown up by the Zionist state of Israel. And it's true because Candace had a dream about it. All of Candace's dreams come true, especially the dream she had when she was a little girl about one day becoming the biggest grifter the internet has ever seen.
We are going to get my husband's friend, J.D. Vance, elected for 48 in the most resounding way possible.
So we have relegated DEI to the dustbin of history, which is exactly where it belongs. In the United States of America, you don't have to apologize for being white anymore. And if you're an Asian, you don't have to talk around your skin color when you're applying for college, because we judge people based on who they are.
I felt like it was divine right order. And I have to tell you, Jack, I've prayed so many times to Charlie and to God to give me the right guidance on how to handle this whole thing.
There is a reason that Charlie Kirk despised Nick Fuentes, and indeed even chided Dinesh D'Souza for debating him. He knew that Nick Fuentes is an evil troll, and that building him up is an act of moral imbecility. And that is precisely what Tucker Carlson did. He built Nick Fuentes up, and he ought to take responsibility for that, just as he ought to take responsibility for glazing pornographer and alleged sex trafficker Andrew Tate, or for mainstreaming fake historian and pseudo-Nazi apologist Daryl Cooper as America's best and most honest popular historian.
What you're watching now, attacking millions of Americans because they're Muslims? It's disgusting. And I'm a Christian. I'm not a Muslim. I know there's a lot of effort to claim I'm a secret jihadi. I'm not.
That this isn't the Republican Party anymore. It's the America First Party. It's the Make America Great Again Party. And we are not going back.
Okay, so there were some people who were saying, no, all the disagreement and the conflict, not a bad thing. Others were saying, don't fight amongst ourselves. The left is the big enemy. I'm still one of those who says there are some danger signs creeping in to the freedom/conservative movement. And every once in a while, you have to knock the mud off of the shoes and leave some of the stuff behind.
With where we're at and this point in the administration, I'm willing to say the enemy of my enemy is my friend, and we can figure it out later. I know, Mike. I know.
I'm fully on board with that.
I know.
Interesting thought, though.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you got to try